Good evening, good night, good morning from wherever you're watching us this day. We want to welcome you to the show that talks about Kenyan politics every week. And this week we'll be reviewing the decisions by the High Court to say that you do not need a degree to run for the governorship position in the Republic of Kenya. Also, we'll also talk about the issue of Ruto, the president moving around in HomaBay. Is he still in campaign mode? Ama ni kufanya kazi, anataka kufanyia Wakenya kazi. Gachagua still says that the country is broke. So who is telling the truth? The governor the other day of the Central Bank of Kenya said that the government has enough resources to run the country, but the deputy president still insists that the country is broke. So I want to welcome you all to the show this day from wherever you're watching us. I will be dropping a link in the comment section so that you can join us today and let us have this sober discussion, talk about issues affecting our country. So from wherever you are, kama unatutazama, unakaribishwa kwenye show. Nitaweka link kwenye comment section na ukiweza kuclick kwenye link utaingia kwenye studio na tukaweze kujadili mambo ambayo yanahusu nchi yetu. Naona kuna watu tayari wanatutazama pale. Pogona, asante sana na kuona pale. Christine, asante sana, nasema finally. Najua kwamba mlikuwa mmengoja sana na sisi tunajitahidi ili kuweza kuwaletea show. Robert Oino, Roba, asante sana na kuona pale. Karibuni kwenye show tukaweze kuzungumza mambo ambayo yanahusu nchi yetu. Utaklik kwenye hiyo link hapo. The link is now officially in the comment section, and then you will find yourself in the studio. Tafadhali ingia kwenye studio, wacha device yako ikaweze kuwa configured na StreamYard ukaweche kamera yako ikaweze kuwa configured pia, ndio maanake ukiingia kwenye studio utaweza kuonekana, picha yako itaonekana na sauti yako pia itaweza kusikika vizuri. So karibuni kwenye show yetu ya siku ya leo. I know it's been a long week. We've not had our normal shows this week, but you are all welcome so that we can discuss issues affecting our country. Asanteni sana. Naona watu wameanza kuingia tayari, na tafadhali ukiweza kuingia kwenye show hakikisha microphone yako iko off ndio tusiwe na echo, na kisha utapata nafasi yako ya kuongea kwenye show siku ya leo. Mbudhi, habari gani? Asante sana kwa kukaribia siku ya leo. You are the first one, but I want to play a video first before I allow us to dive into the politics of the day. Hopefully we don't have any issues with our sound. Let me try our video here.
Ruto has pledged to ensure that no region will be left behind development despite their political choices in the just concluded general elections. The president, who graced a Sunday service and fundraiser at HomaBay AIC Church, also assured leaders who served previously that they would be accorded respect, specifically mentioning his predecessor, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and Azimio leader Raila Odinga. Chemtai Gowin has more.
In his first visit to Nyanza region, where he did not actively campaign in his bid for the presidency, President William Ruto landed in HomaBay County to attend a church service at the HomaBay AIC Church. Ruto was accompanied by his appointment from the region, including ICT Cabinet Secretary nominee Eliud Owalo, Ugenya Member of Parliament David Ochieng, Kuria West Member of Parliament Matthias Robi, his Kuria East counterpart Maisori Kiamata, former Kisumu Governor Jack Ranguma, former Kisumu gubernatorial aspirant Fred Outa, among others. President Ruto allaying fears that the region's political choices would have consequences, saying he was a president for all.
Musikwe na wasiwasi, serikali mmechagua ni serikali yenu. Na mimi nimesema nimejitolea, nitawafanyia Wakenya wote kazi. Na tutashirikiana pamoja na viongozi wenu na wale wengine wote.
Kumekuwa na uchaguzi mzuri, uchaguzi uliokuwa na amani, na kwamba tumekubali matokeo kwamba Mungu ametupea rais, na rais ambaye Mungu ametupatia yuko na sisi hapa leo.
With HomaBay considered one of Raila Odinga's strongholds, President Ruto said he would facilitate an honorable retirement for Odinga.
Tunaheshimu rais wetu Uhuru Kenyatta, tunaheshimu Prime Minister wetu Raila Odinga. Na hawa viongozi wetu ambao wametutangulia, tutahakikisha kwamba wako na heshima, wanapatiwa heshima yao wakati wanaendelea na kutusaidia katika viwango zingine za uongozi. Nimesema hawa viongozi wetu, elders wetu, hawa mniwaachie, nitawapanga kwa sababu ni wazee wetu, na nitawapanga kwa njia ya heshima, ndio nitawapanga kwa njia ya heshima, ndio na hawa wengine ambao wamechaguliwa watafanya kazi na mimi.
Local leaders called for the revival of the textile industry in the region by boosting cotton farming.
In this region, we want to assure you that we will engage you on the basis of the politics of the economy. We want to discuss with you about our fishing. We want to discuss with you about our cotton. We want to discuss with you about trade for women and opportunities for the youth.
Nimeita baraza la mawaziri tuweze kubadilisha ama kupitisha ile kazi imefanywa na scientists wetu, ili tuwe na mbegu mpya ya cotton na mbegu mpya ya mimea zingine, ile inaitwa BT cotton, ndio muweze kupata pamba na mbegu za pamba ambazo zitawapatia mazao zaidi na ambazo ziko resistant na ile magonjwa ambayo inadunisha mazao ya pamba.
The president signaling the return of the artificial insemination program targeting the region.
Na nitaketi chini na governor wenu tukubaliane ili tuwapange na mbegu za kisasa za AI ambazo tunatengeneza katika ADC, ndio tuweze kuimprove livestock ya sehemu hii, ndio muwe na mbegu mzuri. Tuwapange na ng'ombe yenye iko na nyama na maziwa, ndio tuweze kwenda mbele tukiwa pamoja.
Addressing the public after the church service, President Ruto revisited his bid to revive the affordable housing program.
Nimewaahidi mimi narudi hapa kwa mambo ya kupanga mambo ya housing. Kesho mimi naanzisha hiyo mpango ya housing kule Nairobi, na nitafika hapa HomaBay in the next 1 month.
He assured Kenyans of the intention to review the competency-based curriculum, the formation of a task force having set in motion the process.
Nasikia mnafanya homework mpaka kina mama wanaanza kulalamika hii homework wanafanya na mambo mengine yatafanyika baadaye.
The Commander-in-Chief also promising to oversee the construction and rehabilitation of road networks in the county and completion of stalled projects listed in a pre-election economic charter signed by local leaders.
Okay, as you can see there, that's the President William Ruto during his visit in the county of HomaBay, promising goodies to those people of county of HomaBay. Na akasema hata kama wakumpigia kura atafanya kazi pamoja na viongozi wao. Benson Mbudhia, sijui kama tumerudi kwa siasa ama tuseme we are reading too much in that visit. Karibu.
Thank you, Richie. I think it have been few days. I thought I was not getting the link, but you have clarified that tumekuwa off air for some days. Let me start by saying I think Ruto have had factory. I think these 5 years will be what I would call participatory political development, which was a Moi era kind of thing, where you do development on the top of the vehicle. We know Kibaki shunned away, although Kibaki tried a bit, and Uhuru completely shunned away from, community engagement during the development processes, and he derived his, his power through the parliament and also the technocrats. But Ruto seems to do it directly with the people, which makes it very difficult for the technocrats, because you have the cabinet resolutions, but the president engage people directly. And I think that's what he is doing. He's still on 2 to 3 meetings per week directly with the community, and that seems to be the Modi his way of doing business. But also, let me say this, because I followed keenly the Kenya Kwanza model of developing the manifesto and how they want to engage the region. You remember they did what they were calling the county engagement forums, where they had details engagement, 3,000, 4,000 people in each of the counties. Out of the 47 counties, the 4 counties of Nyanza did not have very detailed, I know Owaro tried, but there wasn't very detailed engagement with the 4 counties because of the political temperatures during that time. So what I read from here is also trying to complete the process and do a more detailed direct engagement with the communities. And I can see him highlighting the big issues in HomaBay, from cotton to beef farming in the lower part of, the lower part of HomaBay, and also the issue of sorghum. And you remember HomaBay was also a pilot county for the affordable housing. Remember, there were to be 2,000 houses around the HomaBay road, that region. So basically, the president is engaging the people directly. Number 3, while the other regions have a very clear engagement teams with the presidency, I think Ruto is consolidating his Nyanza team. And when I say Nyanza team, you saw the brigade that went with the president from from the former governor Obando, Dalmas Otieno, you saw the former senator of Kisumu, you see the Ochieng coming up very strongly. You saw the former candidate for governor in Siaya. So I think the president also is trying to consolidate an engagement team for Nyanza, and I think also he have heard what we have said. Even us who supports Kenya Kwanza, we appreciate that Nyanza region is not strongly represented in the cabinet as it were now. So I think I think this is also a response of what people have said, that the senior most person now seems to be Owaro, and the peripheral, support, somebody trying to say Ababu Namamba will serve the interest of Busia, Siaya, and also the Minister for Education is going to serve a bit of the other part of Nyanza. But I think there need to be a strong representation of people of Nyanza into the government, and forming a team that will be negotiating with the government is a prudent way of engaging the government. So I think that's how Ruto is looking at it. I agree with you that Ruto will continue with politics. You have seen Gachagua and his antidotes in Nyeri. So I think that is their model of engagement. We finally, on the topic, we have seen what happened 5 years with actually 10 years of Uhuru, where you win an election, you stay in State House for 5 years without direct engagement. We in Mount Kenya, we kept on asking the president to come and talk to us for 5 years. He kept on sending Joe Mushero. Mushero doesn't even seem to have a direct engagement with people. So I think Ruto is also correcting the mistakes that was done by Uhuru, that you derive power from people. Sometimes the people around you don't tell you the truth. So when you engage the pastors and you hear the pastors talk in the churches, when you hear the Wananchi tells you, and you saw the direct engagement around CBC, in HomaBay, people were shouting about CBC. These are direct engagement of communities in development. What some of us who are in community development, we call participatory development approach. You hear it from the people. So by the time you go back to sit down with the people, with your cabinet and the upward engagement, you already know the issues from the people. It need to be measured. Otherwise, you keep on revisiting your models because people will keep shouting things. But we have learned the mistakes of Uhuru government by letting it go for 5 years in the office and people sitting in the State House. The issue of degree, I think some of the rulings I would say is retrogressive. Degrees are basic even in our households. We're asking our children and everyone to go to school. I'm wondering who are these people who aspires to be leaders of this country, and a degree would not be a bare minimum. So I think those are. I don't know where the judgment came from, but I find that very. It reverses all the gains of the things that we have been even telling our own children. The issue of Gachagua is broke. I think again, this is politics, and what, as you are saying, that they are still in political moods. That when I think this is a response to the backlash of a high cost of living, that we found empty coffers. You remember the 93 million balances, and you are trying to hide that we have found a broke country. So give us another 6 weeks, 6 months, so that we regain our footing. What we were told by the governor, and have seen the presentation by the governor both at the Senate induction and also at the Parliament and National Assembly presentation, that the country is in good standing, and there are issues with the cash flow. We know that. We know the balance is the 900 billion deficit in the budget. We know that, but doesn't mean the country is broke. So I would call that a scapegoat to trying to and hide, so that you are not asked the hard question around the cost of living. Thank you, Richie. Those are my opening statements.
All right. Thank you, Benson. We'll still come back to you. Let me just welcome Pogon. Long time no see. Karibu sana. You can give your opening remarks, and then we'll continue the discussion.
Good morning. Nice. Yeah, it's been a long time, and tangu tushindwe, actually tangu tunyang'anywe ushindi yetu hakuja kuwa kuzuri kwangu sana to date, na I think niko tu sawa hata nisipo heal. And I think I'm very right. I was very right. And to those of us that are still thinking that our choice was the best of Baba, it's because of what is happening right now. This is not what we wanted. It's now almost a month into this government, but you see their mood is still on campaign mode. Today they were talking to Gachagua. They were asking him questions, and the way he's answering is like he's still campaigning, he's still talking, he's still trying to answer Uhuru. I don't know why. I don't know for what, for whose gain. And they're still not straightforward with the truth about the situation that we are in economically. So this is the reasons why I'm still saying Ruto is not the best for us. And that's why majority of us chose not to vote for him. And even for those people, the people that stayed away from voting, this is what they did not want. You make a choice and then somebody decides it for you. And then they bring in something that is not so good for everybody. Because I was listening to, and actually not even listening, I was trying to see in the social media everything that people are talking about the issue of Gladys Wanga and Kaluma not attending Ruto's Sunday service. I was wondering, was Gladys Wanga supposed to be the one to deliver the sermon or what? I think that was a private thing, and I think even it's an issue with the protocol, because from the way the Ruto wing talking, it's like they didn't communicate in time to the governor or to Mr. Kaluma, so that it's coming out clearly that actually they did not refuse to attend. But the whole issue, I didn't see even the necessity of Ruto going there, and the way they're still saying that the government is broke and all that. So going forward, I'm not actually seeing that we are going to get out of this campaign mode from the government. They're still going to be doing a lot of campaign, because what they're fighting actually is the illegitimacy tag that's on them, because they forced themselves on us. So they need to validate that one by going around, especially to areas that they were not voted in by. So that's my take. I'm happy to be here. Most of the time I have this shaky network, that's why I don't come in, but I listen to you guys. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Pogon. I want karibu sana Christine, good to see you. We want to keep the conversation going, but before we do that, I'll come to another issue that I think is important, and I'll give you, Christine, an opportunity to speak about this. Let me see.
Ndugu yangu Rashid. Naam. Kama wewe unaishi Kenya, unajua hii makesi yote ilikuwa ni ya kuwekelewa. Mimi mwenyewe niliwekelewa kesi na naibu wa rais. Kesi iko na Mithika Linturi ni ya kuwekelewa. Aliwekelewa na huyu George Kinoti. Kesi iko na huyu Aisha Juma ni ya kuwekelewa. Sisi hatuwezi kubali kukataza mtu ambaye ako na nafasi kuchangia maendeleo ya Kenya kwa sababu ako na kesi ya kuwekelewa. Na hizi maneno sisi tunaielewa. Hawa watu wote unataja ni kesi za kuwekelewa. Unajua hii serikali imeondoka, ilikuwa imeshindwa kupanga siasa kwa sababu hakuwa naongea na wanasiasa. Ilikuwa inatumia kitengo cha DCI na EACC kupanga siasa, kutisha wanasiasa, kuwahujumu, kuwahangaisha ndio watii ile wanataka. Sasa nikueleze hawa watu wote, na katiba yetu inasema Rashid, hakuna mtu anaweza umizwa bila kuhukumiwa. Lazima inasema you are innocent until proven guilty. Hawa watu wote wameteuliwa, hakuna mtu amefungwa, hakuna mtu ushahidi umetolewa kotini, na hakuna ushahidi utatolewa kwa sababu hakuna. Hizo kesi zimekuwa ikizungushwa. Mimi mwenyewe nilipelekwa kotini mwaka 2 iliyopita. Kila siku tukienda kotini wanatuzungusha, ngoja nini, tunangoja DCI, ngoja wiki inakuja, ngoja wiki hii, wacha tuonane mwaka ujao, kwa sababu hii yote ilikuwa ni njama ya kuhangaisha wanasiasa ndio watii ile ambaye wanaambiwa. Kwa hivyo ningetaka kuambia Wakenya, wale mawaziri wameteuliwa na Rais William Ruto wako sawa, hawana makosa yote, hawana hatia, hakuna ushahidi wowote umetolewa ya kuonesha ya kwamba hao ni wafisadi. Ile iko ni ya kwamba kwa sababu ya msimamo wao wa kisiasa waliwekewa makesi ya uongo, na tukiendelea mbele utakuja kuona ya kwamba hiyo makesi itakuja kutupwa na makoti kwa sababu hakuna ushahidi.
Right there, tukiendelea mbele utakuja kuona hizi makesi zote zikitupwa nje na koti kwa sababu ni kesi za kuwekelewa. That is my main issue. Christine, I want you to address that issue. I want you to. We've been complaining here about the issue of the executive, being so much cozy with the judiciary. Is this a sign that there will be interference in terms of the cases that Mithika Linturi and Aisha Jumwa are facing right now in the courts of Kenya, so that they can also have a free pass in terms of being nominated to the cabinet? Is Rigathi Gachagua telling you that the cases that kesi ambazo zinakumba Mithika Linturi na Aisha Jumwa zitatupiliwa mbali kwa sababu ako na uhakika ya kwamba kuna kitu ambacho anajua sisi ambacho sisi kama wananchi hatujui? Maybe you can address that issue. That is number one. Number two, I still want to understand, why is it so important that we have seen in social media posts that people have been complaining that the UDA or the KKA wing of the government have been complaining that it was not a good show for the governor of Migori to miss the function of the deputy president. The function of the president of the Republic of Kenya in HomaBay. What is your take on that? Was it just a show of defiance, or are we still trying to see a country that is still divided along political lines? Karibu, Christine.
Thank you so much, Makiadi. Good to see you, and I'm happy you have opened the studio today. I really wanted to hear people's contribution about the happenings of today. Good evening, Bhutia. Good evening, Pogon. Good to see all of you. Okay, so Makiadi, you've asked about Rigathi, commenting about Aisha Juma and Linturi cases. I think by now, Richie Makiadi, we are confirming that we already know that the courts are in bed with the state. So, and by Rigathi saying that the DCI ni vitu za kuwekelewa, it's just a confirmation that nothing is going to happen. These two people have been given a clean bill of health. Their choice is final, and we might not do anything about it if they mobilize their MPs to vote on political affiliation and not credentials. The issue of Linturi and Aisha, hata kama wanasema waliwekelewa, with Linturi we saw a video footage. Linturi was half naked, if we can say so. And Linturi was even lost for words, and it was him confirming that he got confused about his room. That is something we saw. And about Aisha Juma, somebody died. It is obvious, somebody died, somebody was buried. Whoever pulled the trigger, we don't know, but with all due respect and just good moral practices, I believe if I've been accused of something, and whether it is true or not, I'm still accused, And with all due respect, I just think I would request the process to be carried out to prove that I'm innocent or guilty, so that to give the public that confidence. Unfortunately, Makiadi, the people that we are dealing with morally, they have no moral obligations. We've seen how they have been conducting themselves even in public. So we don't expect that from them. That will be a tall order, expecting them to step aside. If I've been accused of something because the public want to know, I think the best thing to do is say, okay, courts, fasten this process. I don't feel good, my name being tarnished around. I have children, I have a family, I have friends. The whole public is eager to know whether I committed this crime or not. I want this process to be fastened so that I can be proven guilty or innocent. And as much as we are saying it's Aisha Juma's bodyguard who might have pulled the trigger, that is according to few people saying that. Of course, for that boyfriend to get access to the gun, Aisha had to play a role to it. So, and I don't think he could do anything without approval of Aisha Juma. So I just think morally, we are not expecting anything from these people, Makiadi. Unfortunately, you can even see the way Martha Koome is very cozy with The president, she's been doing things contrary to what we expect. We no longer have confidence in the courts. You saw Ruto went ahead and appointed the judges that Uhuru had declined to appoint due to some tainted credentials. So that is showing you that there'll be no justice, you know. As long as you're not in agreement with Ruto, as long as Ruto is giving you something, you're gonna get it. Okay, that is my take about that. And it is very unfortunate for the country. And one thing they should know, these two people are not the only ones who can play those roles. So with all due respect, if they respected Kenyans, they should do something about it. But unfortunately, with Rigathi saying that, they're not gonna do anything. And I think it's high time Rigathi should also be guided on how to talk to the public. Rigathi should be guided on what to bring out in the public. Even his own money that he's saying, alikuwa anapelekwa hivi hivi, he could not account for how he got the 200 million, you know? All of a sudden, Rigathi became very rich, yet we know his salary. Okay, that is all I have to say on that one, Makiadi. About events in Migori, Makiadi is just unfortunate because I believe service is different. Attending a church is completely different from attending a state function. And even if it is a state function, the leaders have to be informed formally. You know, you cannot just hear from rumors that Ruto is coming to your county and you leave all your, you go by the agenda of Ruto, you know. So I don't think Gladys Wanga and Kaluma had a role to play in Ruto's church service. And going to church is personal. You saw Rachel the other day was saying Makiadi that he's a Freemason. So we don't know which God Gladys Wanga and Kaluma are serving. So why are you forcing your God on people? So me, I think they were justified in not attending church because after the church service, there's nowhere where we saw Ruto even addressing leaders, regional leaders on way forward or anything. So those people that are gagging us that we are refusing project, we are not cooperating with Ruto, will not get any project. I'm sorry to tell them, Raila always sees, what Raila sees while seated, even if you climb on top of a tree, you cannot see. Raila pushing forward for devolution, no region will be left behind. And those people telling us about development, Moi was the president for Baringo for so long. But I think Baringo are more needed than Luo Nyanza and than HomaBay. I think Turkana people, you see even when relief food were being flagged, they were not flagged to Luo Nyanza, they were flagged to Northeastern. So those are the people that are more needed than even the HomaBay. And if Ruto had good meaning or if Ruto wanted peace and was showing us genuine love, as much as we are saying politics is over, but at the same time, Makiadi politics is regional. Luo Nyanza, everybody knows, including Benson, including Pogon, our leader as of now is Raila Odinga. We know his victory was taken. We are yet not contented that Ruto won the election. So the least Ruto can do for now is just to accord Raila some respect. So when you're coming to Luo Nyanza with the rebels, you know, people that have been considered always going against Raila, you are coming to Luo Nyanza with somebody like Ndindi Nyoro, who has all along been playing politics of abusing the dynasty. With all due respect, it's just the same way we go to Rift Valley with somebody like Alfred Keter. We know which kind of role, which book of history Alfred Keter and Ruto are in, you know, there'll be no reconciliation. So for me right now, Ruto would have just humbled himself, reach out to the leaders like Gladys Wanga in a respectful way if he wanted peace, and not work with somebody like Ochieng. Ochieng is coming all the way from Ugenya. For your information, Ugenya and South Nyanza is totally far away, you know. Owalo comes from a mixed marriage. I can't tell where the dad is from. I'm yet to find about all that. So in a way, as much as Ruto is saying that he wants to bring development and everything, I believe there are more people in Sugoi that need all those developments more than the people of HomaBay. I expected him to talk about the hospital situation in HomaBay if he really wanted to give us something viable. Makiadi, this topic will go on and on, but just to cut the long story short, Ruto is just preparing himself for 2027. Unfortunately, Christianity and religion does not play politics in Luo Nyanza. You see, the Luo Nyanza SDA is a dominating factor. There's nowhere where you can see a church or a religion endorsing any leader in Luo Nyanza. So to me, he's just wasting his time. Luos tunasemanga we can't beg. That's our nature. It's not going to change. So I believe there are many people in Rift Valley and Central who needs development than HomaBay. And those empty promises that he keeps throwing out and about, it's time he should stop and tell us how we are going to get unga at a lower cost, gas, fuel at a lower cost. We still don't need roads now. We need to feed our stomach first. Thank you, Makiadi.
All right, thank you so much, Christine. I want to go back to Benson here. There's word that William Ruto is trying to solidify his support countrywide, and that is why we are seeing the likes of Moses Kuria folding his party and joining UDA, and also William Ruto is trying to reach out to leaders from every regions, like what we had in the Rainbow Coalition, whereby we had representatives from every region and strategize for the 2027 presidential election. That is something that people have noted. The analysts have been talking about this thing so far. I don't know if this is one of those moves that we are seeing right now in terms of trying to reach out to the Luo Nyanza and maybe the communities around there. That is question number one. Number two, I would want you to also address the issue of people are saying that William Ruto is trying to legitimize his presidency. What is your take on that?
Thank you, Maket. I agree with my sister Christine in terms of engaging elected leaders. I know Gladys. I worked with Gladys in the health sector for over 10 years, and I know she's very engaging. And when I saw it there, I thought the old classmates was to meet. But I didn't see Gladys. So I think I agree. They had no obligation to attend a church service. Maybe there is a better way. I saw what Karuma said. There is a better way of engaging elected leaders. You don't just call them in that morning. And I know, as I was saying, we'll see a lot of this the next 5 years. Waking up with a plan and going to a region with them, without necessarily engaging the leaders. Number two, whichever way we look at it, the presidency is a unifying factor. Once you are given the mandate, then you have a big duty of unifying all the entire country. So any attempt that will bring the defranchised zones and regions and communities is a welcome move. And I'm very sure Ruto will go out of his way to try and unify in reality and also in optics, unify communities. So I think there is a lot of work to be done around Nyanza, a lot of work to be done around Western, especially Kakamega. There's a lot of work that need to be done in Ukambani and part of the coastal region. And any attempt is welcome. You have been given a mandate. You have to unify the country. What I don't buy into, and I think Gachagua and Ruto are into this, is the whole issue of throwing antics. The faster they, and I know they have told us we give them 90 days to celebrate, but the faster you stop the celebration, the better. You cannot say you are unifying while you are throwing jabs and Kukejeri, Baba and other people. So I think it's time to move on. The issue of Central Province, we have issues in Central Province, unsorted issues, and it will take quite some time, because apart from just having a deputy president, we are also in succession of politics, succession in terms of kingship. So you'd see what Gachagua is trying to do is to create a niche for himself for the region. So he's done with the national. He's trying to make a space for himself as a regional kingship. Finally, the issue of we suffered for 4 years. Our elected leaders in Central Province suffered for 4 years under the hands of the President Uhuru. And I'm saying this with a lot of respect to a man who was the president for 10 years, a man I voted 3 times. He actually punished the people from Central, and especially the elected leaders. So there are some cases, some of those judicial cases that were fabricated, that were people were called and told, tutaonana na wewe, utaniona, wewe ni kijana mdogo sana. Those are things that people in Central Province, and actually the defiance that people saw in Central Province, well, actually, many people don't see it, but actually, we who engaged directly with elected leaders in Central Province knew that it was a difficult period to engage the president. And it was long before even the repeat election of 2017. So there are unsorted issues in Central Province. There are issues that the current government are still grappling with in how to engage the former president. So you'll see a lot of Gachagua and a lot of those outbursts, because they are also based on how you have treated me for four years. So don't tell me to heal in just a month. I have issues that need to be dealt with. And Kinoti did not help. There were many things. I come from Kandara. I know how my MP Alice Muthoni was treated as a personal friend. I know how the children were treated, and some other details, how the husband was thrown out of the government. So there are many things that happened in Central Province that's why you see this outburst by Gachagua. Having said that, we have a country called Kenya. And that country, it is where our people are, it's where our parents and our future generations lie. So it is also to appeal to the elected leaders that heal faster, unify faster, end the celebration faster, so that the country can move forward. Thank you, Rich.
Oh, I can see Julia is here also. Karibu Julia. I'll give you an opportunity to speak after Pogon makes his few remarks, and then we can move on. Pogon, karibu.
Yeah, I was thinking you'd give Julia, please. Let's have Julia first.
Okay, sawa, Julia, karibu.
Asante Makadi. Thanks Makadi for opening the show. I think we are grateful. Like Benson said, I think we need to continue chatting and looking the way forward for this country. Now, no degree for governors, the High Court. Yeah, that's expected. We are going to a rogue country. So Kenyans should not be surprised at this kind of things happening in this country. You're even going to hear that you won't be jailed if you do 1, 2, 3. You'll get away with it. Because we have a rogue judiciary. I want to agree with Christy that I belong to the school of thought, that I don't believe that the judiciary did the right thing. Mother Koome simply upheld impunity. So the rest of the High Court judges will make all these decisions. So hata kama wewe ni wa class 2 unaweza kuwa cabinet secretary, it's okay. Hapo ndio Kenya tumefika. Hiyo ndio serikali ya Ruto. Ruto on campaign mode, I think I want to agree with what Benson, he really analyzed it in a way that I was trying to understand that. And I think Makedi also asked him a question that I think Ruto is looking at 2027 campaign. And I think he's trying to use the church in Nyanza, the way he he used it in Mount Kenya region. My only question, maybe to the members of the panel, whether you people, do you think the Nyanza people are going to buy the church story kwamba huyu rais wetu ni rais wa kanisa, anampenda Mungu na sisi tunampenda Mungu, kwa hivyo tunapenda huyu rais wetu wa kanisa na kwa hivyo tumunge mkono. The issue of the other politicians not joining Ruto, I'm not surprised. Okay, there's one thing I want to say about the people of Nyanza, and Makedi, you'll forgive me if you don't come from Nyanza. And Toraitich, naomba msamaha, na Benson, I think Christine comes from Nyanza. I worked in Nyanza for many years, since 2002. Not 2002, since 1996 to 2008. People from Nyanza, and let me say in particular, Luo Nyanza, their yes is yes, and their no is no. Hawananga njia ya katikati. Kama umemkosea, anakwambia umenikosea. That is why it has been so hard to compromise those people. It is really hard to compromise them. And it is really becoming very hard to even to buy them. I worked for many years there, and I came to agree with myself that these people is the word. I don't think maybe Christine hamna hata lugha ya Kijaruo hongo, maybe hamna. I think they don't have a word in law hongo. These people are above board Benson. Even if you tell them that unawapenda and your actions don't prove unawapenda, they will not lie to you. They will tell you on their face, you are lying. And so I don't know whether they are going to buy that ideology ya kanisa, kwamba sisi watu wa kanisa tunapenda Mungu kwa hivyo mnanipenda. I don't know whether they are going to buy that. Now, on the other hand, when I look at Mount Kenya region, allowing me to use Mount Kenya region because I come from Mount Kenya region, I'm very disappointed. I see a lot of hypocrisy in Mount Kenya region in the name of the church. And I think I'm not trying to categorize a group of people, but I see a habit that in Mount Kenya region, the end justifies the means. It doesn't matter how you get property, as long as you acquire that property. At one time, many years ago, I was thinking, supposing we have somebody from Nyanza leading this country, I think we may get out of corruption and all these scandals. Mount Kenya region, unfortunately, I think we are the people who have caused many problems to this country, right from independence. And I think if we look at even our first president, Jomo Kenyatta, he didn't do much to fight corruption. If in any case, he may be the one of those who perpetuated it. So where am I going? I'm going to the point Benson Budhia said, and I would like him to answer me when he gets the opportunity. He said that Uhuru mistreated the leaders of Mount Kenya region. Benson, I would like you to be categorical. Kama mtu alishikwa na polisi, na alipelekwa kotini, is that mistreatment? Alipelekwa kotini kwa sababu gani? Kama alipelekwa kotini, you know that the word mistreatment, the way Budhia is putting it, and the way those leaders in Mount Kenya region are putting it, kwamba sisi tulipelekwa kotini because of corruption na wengine waliwachwa. So the fact that I'm doing a wrong thing na nimeshikwa, if Toroitich hajashikwa, does not justify my actions. The only wrong thing that has happened here ni kwamba Toroitich amewachwa. But mimi kupelekwa kotini, it's okay. So this mistreatment that Budhia you are saying, I think that's what you are saying. I saw Alice Wahome in 2013 or 2017 election. I stand to be corrected, fighting a presiding officer, physically assaulting. You people mnakumbuka hiyo? Did you see that clip? Alice Wahome was assaulting a presiding officer. She was on TV. She was on camera. These are the people Budhia wanasema were mistreated. Gachagua has been mistreated so much. That is why Budhia is saying Gachagua cannot forgive. Gachagua, yes, surely he has been mistreated so much because of his corruption scandals being unearthed na akapelekwa kotini. That is what is mistreatment from the people from Mount Kenya region. So mkishika wezi na wenye wanapora mali ya wananchi, hao wezi are being mistreated. So we should fight for them and fight the government that is mistreating them. That is the attitude from the people who are saying that our leaders from Mount Kenya region were mistreated. If Budia, when you answer me, please tell me Alice Wahome was mistreated because of 1, 2, 3. Gachagua was mistreated because of 1, 2, 3. Maybe Didi Nyoro was mistreated because of 1, 2, 3. Please tell us. Be categorical. Don't use the word mistreatment. Tell us, serikali ya Uhuru ama Kinoti alipeleka fulani kotini kwa sababu hii na ni kuonewa. Unaona? And that is what Makedi just, I think that's what Gachagua is going around saying, that this now that takes me the cabinet that we have. Hizi kesi zote mnaona, we have about 5 people in the cabinet that has been nominated who have issues. Ati hizi kesi zote mnaona ni za kuonewa. Now Budhi has disappeared instead of answering me. You see, that is what I don't like. Hizi kesi zote, mistreatment. Sasa Makedi nikikutukana, kunipeleka kotini nasema Makedi is mistreating me, and first and foremost I'm on the wrong now na nimefanya makosa. This is the mistreatment that is said to be in Mount Kenya region. That is the so-called mistreatment, and that gives us a very bad picture, Mr. Buthia. Now looking at it, I think that if our first president was Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, probably this country would have gone places. Because sometimes the culture of a place may just be like, it is okay to do this. It's okay to grab somebody's land. It's okay to own. You see, like every time I come here and I quote Muteshi land case, people who are supporting Ruto wananinukia and they get so offended. And I'm not saying anything that did not happen. I'm saying a case that was taken to court. And court ikaamua, this land is not yours. Mr. William Samoei Ruto, rudishia mwenyewe na umlipe hasara. And then people wananinukia, is like I said something, it is wrong to acquire property illegally. And he was being mistreated for being taken to court. So me that mistreatment, it is a culture that is coming from the people who support the present government and who support UDA. And I think it's a very unfortunate culture, because two wrongs cannot make a right. If you have done a wrong thing, pelekwa kotini na ufungwe. Mimi nikipora mali ya mtu, don't bring my community there. Don't say ati Julia is our people, is our person. She comes from our land, and the government is mistreating her. It is not the people from that land has when you are made by your shamba. It is Julia mwenye amefanya hivyo, for example. That's what I'm saying, for example. So why you people are saying that President Uhuru mistreated who? Me, I come from Moranga. My grandfather was not mistreated, Mr. Buthia. I didn't see who was mistreated. I mean, all my relatives are in Moranga. Nobody has told me they were mistreated. So if Gachagua was taken to court, me, I was not mistreated, because Gachagua, when he stole, I did not ask him to steal for me. So what is this mistreatment? So me, I really want you Kenyans, please, even the future governments, let's imagine that one of these fine days we'll have someone from Nyanza being president. If one of you decides to steal, museme mtu wetu is being mistreated, wacha abebe mzigo wake. Like, for example, Babu Owino. If you tell me Babu Owino did a wrong thing by shooting somebody, yes, if akishikwa ashikwe, me, I did not ask him to go and shoot somebody. Ama Christine, Babu Owino ni Mjaruo, did you ask him to go and shoot somebody? Was he shooting on your behalf? So there's no mistreatment there. Abebe mzigo wake. So that word, Benson, if you respond to me, I would like you to be categorical. Don't use the word mistreatment. I would request you that when you explain who was mistreated and why they were mistreated. So me, that is how I see it. So Ruto on campaign trail, I think he's trying to the Nyanza people, kutumia kanisa. But my question is, I don't know whether Christine will answer me. whether Nyanza people will buy that, hiyo maneno ya kanisa. And finally, Gachagua anasema ati hatuna pesa. I saw him, I watched him saying that even from the report from the central bank, and then he was saying that that we don't have money, that the money they are collecting from the tax is being used to pay salaries and all that. And they are saying that serikali iliporwa the last 3 months. Maneno ya kuporwa, I disagree. Because I really believe that Uhuru was planning to hand over to Baba. So I don't think he could have messed it for Baba, hata kama he wanted to do it. So maneno ya kuporwa, I disagree. But what I want to agree is that we have been operating at a deficit. The government, even in Uhuru's time, maybe the last 5 years or 10 years, has been operating at a deficit. That's what I want to agree. That we collect tax and then we got to pay salaries and all that, and then we find we got to borrow. Maybe so that's why we have borrowed so much, and also we have borrowed so much to put up infrastructure. Okay, infrastructure, I have no fight with infrastructure because all of us have been borrowing, kununua shamba, kujenga nyumba. I think most of the things that we have acquired, we've borrowed to buy them. So me, I have no regrets for anything I have borrowed to buy a house or to buy a farm. I'm happy that I took the pain of borrowing. So if I'm paying something, at least I have property. So that one I have no regrets. So the situation is we have been like that for quite some time, maybe even for 10 years. We have been at a deficit. So the question is, how is this government going to address this? My conclusion is this government is not going to address this. And my conclusion is I'm not expecting any miracles. And even the coming cabinet, I don't even think there's a cabinet. I want to say that I think there's only one person who is in the cabinet, the president himself. So he's going to be planning to do what? To do this, to do this. Those nominees you saw, those are just stooges. I don't think they'll be independent to do anything. I'm sorry, I'm still very pessimistic, if you want to call me that, because I'm not expecting any miracle. So, Makiadi, wacha nifikishe hapo.
Okay, thank you so much, Julia. I think Budhia has the right of reply, and Budhia, I want you to address that issue. I want also you to tell us. I still insist: is William Ruto trying to legitimize his election victory, so to speak, by going out to reach to the base of Raila Odinga? Is it what we are seeing, or let's just assume that he decided to wake up one day and go to church in HomaBay?
Yeah, it's very difficult to answer my sister Julie because we come from Muranga, all of us, and we know our base. We know better. We talk to our people. I was in Kenya, better part of the election, during the hot months of the Chaguzi. So we know the issues. We know why we didn't vote for 90%. Why 90% of the region was very arrogantly refused the president overtures. We know, and it will be very difficult to go to case by case. 4 years down the line, 4 years, we knew Gachagua was to play a bigger role. There was what we call Itweka, which is a successional thing, and the government that was did what they did. Why Didi is popular and very popular in Central and across the country, including where he was today in HomaBay, is when the president sent 150 direct order, 150 police to go and arrest Didi Nyoro in Gathaithi Catholic Church. And when the president sent 100 police to go and arrest him during at Royal Media. So I don't want to go to the details, systematic details. We hired Nancy Karanja and Mutahi Ngunyi to deal with those political issues. And I don't want to go to the details of those things. So we know the things that happened. They are out there. They will be unraveled one by one. When we say that Gachagua was taken into court because of a flimsy reason, we know what we are saying. But I don't want to go to the details. I don't want also to assume blanket that the courts are, when the courts are throwing out those cases because they went to bed with Ruto. In terms of legitimizing the presidency, I think the word to legitimize is a wrong word. The institutions that are supposed to make decisions on legitimacy have pronounced themselves. So I think what Ruto is dealing with is a public crash, because legitimacy is derived from the votes. It is announced and validated by IBC and by the courts. Those institutions have announced themselves. So legitimacy is not the right word. Having said that, I want also to appeal people to see a unification process. How do you unify the country that voted right in the middle? Is it church? Is it appeal? Is it trying to bribe people, or is it a unification process? Does engaging people in Nyanza an attempt to unification or an attempt to bribe? So let's also give people who have been given mandate that chance to unify. And that unification you'll use different processes. A week ago, we saw Gladys Wanga running away from a photo in Mombasa during the Council of Governors meeting. She didn't even want to have a photo with the deputy president. So I think I think the government also have to look for alternative. How do we bring the people of Nyanza on board? Can we form a team that can work with us? So that's a unification process. So I don't want to say that the president is trying to play 2027. I think for now, he is interested with unification. The state appointment that is coming up, you need to sit with certain people from the community. Who do you sit with? From Nyanza, you need to form a team. You need to bring Dalmas Otiendo. You need to bring all these people so that they can also guide the process. I was happy to see the Director General of Lake Basin Development Authority, because that's where development in that region is domiciled. And there was a lot of engagement. Those who watched, and because I watched Ruto for 2 hours, those who saw the engagement between the director of Lake Basin would see they were having hearty discussion with the president. So let's not see politics all the time. Let's also see the unification.
Benson, I think you're trying to contradict yourself, because you're saying we should not see politics all the time. This was supposed to be a church function, or should we say, was it supposed to be a political function? It is either it was a church function that William Ruto decided to go, or he was there for politics. And that is why the likes of Gladys Wanga realized that he was not there to, to attend a church service, but to do politics, and decided to do what? To stay away from the function. So it is either of the two. Because you're saying on one side that it was supposed to be engagement with the Lake Basin, I don't know, director, what? Was it a church function or was it politics? That is what we are asking.
You remember my opening statement. I said that we will be entertained the next 5 years, and Ruto have chosen his way of doing business. We all have our way of doing business. His way of business is directly engaging with the communities. He might not be the best with boardroom. The last 5 years, we have seen a lot of boardroom state house meetings. So Ruto will have chosen a different way. And the different way is directly engaging people. Where are people found? People are found in church congregations and in the marketplaces. What we saw today is a mixture of a church and a marketplace. So I think that's direct engagement, both at church level and at marketplace.
Christine, you have a question.
Yeah, I just have a few questions for Benson. I remember, Benson, you stated clearly that Ndindi is popular in the country, including where he was today. Or that is according to us, it's still today. Where he was yesterday, Kenyan time. But Makedi, I don't know whether Mbutia is watching another so Ndindi in a different HomaBay from what I saw, because with all due respect, Ndindi was seriously heckled while talking. So he just talked while people were heckling him. So when you tell us Ndindi is popular in HomaBay, with all due respect, Benson, we are healing. We need honesty. And then when you are responding to Julia and saying that Rigathi was frustrated, some of those information will come out slowly. It might not come all of it now. Let's be honest. We are here to give people information. Rigathi today, I can see you're speaking the same language as Rigathi, because even Rigathi today, Kenyan time yesterday, while he was being interviewed at his Nyeri home, he kept saying the coffers are empty, but me and Ruto, we've worked out a way and soon we're gonna get 500 billion to pay for these debts. Like, if we are coming here and you feel like, for me, I can say, Luo Nyanza, we are still hurt. We still believe that our victory was stolen a third time, you know? That is an information that you can dispute. It's something that I'm telling you, it's a fact. A few laws will stand by it, you know? But you coming here to say Rigathi was frustrated. If you stole public money, or if you have money that you cannot account for and you're asked to account for it, where is the frustration coming from, you know? So I just want to say, if you are giving information about frustration, be candid. And I think it's now, you know, I would whine and cry. If I were you, I would whine and cry if we didn't have the government. But you have the government. Uhuru was courteous enough, because Uhuru had all the state machinery to still cling or give Baba by force. But he decided to let it go. It's high time we stop talking about Uhuru and focus. For how long are you going to lament? We are hungry. We need our life moving on. You want to lament, and at the same time, you got what you want, you know? You are not being honest there. Let's leave Uhuru out of this thing. About you saying that Ruto is trying to unify people, and a way of unifying people is going to churches. I would agree with you. If Ruto is planning to go this Sunday to AIC, he's planning to go next Saturday to Seventh Day, because there are so many churches. So if he's going to choose only one church to go to as a form of unifying, I don't think that is unification, it's politics. And in any case, with Luos, the church does not decide political affiliations or alienation in Luo Nyanza. So, and in any case, even biblically, when Christ went to a church and Christ found people selling all sorts of things, he had to trash them out and say, this is my sanctuary, it has to be clean. We know politics is a dirty game. Let's not mix politics and church, you know? So with that, the way Ruto is taking it, Themba is a Luo, maybe he'll have a contrary opinion, but I don't think that thing is going to succeed. The way he succeeded with church thing in Central, I don't think it's going to succeed in Luo Nyanza. For you to win the heart of Luo Nyanza, you have to come through Raila. That is a fact. I stand to be corrected. But remember, even the way you've said Rigathi, it was somebody, a kingmaker or something like that, the same way. And Rigathi said, for you to climb the mountain, you have to come through him. He said that. So there'll be no unity if you overlook Raila. That's a fact in Luo Nyanza. It's not going to work. I don't know, maybe things will change. Thank you.
Sijui Makiadi amepotea. Wacha niulize Benson as Makiadi comes back. Benson, you said something that about Kenya region. You said that 90%. You are wrong. Ruto got about 3 million from Mount Kenya region, and Baba got about 900,000, 10 to 1 million. So it was a third to two-thirds. So it's not 90% that rejected Uhuru and Baba. You can call it two-thirds. And Baba has never gotten more than 100,000 in Mount Kenya region. So we can see the effect of Uhuru in that, according to IBC. But according to me, Baba got more than 1 million. But according to IBC, it means Baba got about 1 million or 900,000 votes from Mount Kenya region. So it means about 1/3 bought Uhuru's message. 1/3 of Mount Kenya region bought Uhuru's message. So don't say 90%. Now, you refuse to tell me why these people were mistreated because you have no good reason to explain of the mistreatment. You cannot be categorical. So the mistreatment is a creation of Mount Kenya politicians who are taken to court because of corruption. Let us agree that. That is why I began by distinguishing Mount Kenya region and Nyanza region. And I said that I'm sorry. I know I come from Mount Kenya region. Like in the years I've lived in Nyanza, those people have given me a picture that their yes is yes, and their no is no. Hawananga njia ya katikati. And I think it's going to be very hard to buy them, even with the church. It's going to be very hard to buy them. Another thing I want to say, you say that Ruto is doing this church thing, politiki ninje, maneno ya boardroom amtaki. Hatutaki politiki, sasa tunataka action. We want someone to go and sit and make a budget and decide that we have a deficit. We are running at a deficit. So how do we meet this deficit? We don't want a street president. We want a president who sits with the cabinet and makes policies. We want them to address the deficit we are going through. So this street thing is not for now, Mr. Benson. It doesn't make sense. It looks like waste of time, waste of our time. So we want someone who's going to address our CBC issues. We want to see action. In the next 3 months, we want to hear whether our children are going to school without paying. We want to hear whether our price of unga is going down. We want to hear whether the price of petroleum products are going down. Those are the things we want to hear. We no longer want street messaging. So I'm disappointed, Mr. Budhia, that you are okay with that kind of thing and that you still think it should go on. And I think you still think that Kenyans can be bought with that kind of thing. It's not going to happen. About 7 million people rejected that. And these 7 million people, I don't even think even after 20 years, they are going to buy that kind of politicking. So Mr. William Ruto, either he has a cabinet of 21 people or he's the only cabinet, because to me, he's the only member of the cabinet. He got to do something different. He got to act. He got to address our issues. He got to stop making those promises on the street. We want to see the implementation of the promises that he made, not the talk now. Asante Makiadi, I was just saying something while you are away. Aya, Makiadi, welcome back. Themba mkono yake ameinua.
Do I have the...
I think Themba you can speak. Makiadi is lost. Siji amepotelea.
Thank you. Thank you, Makiadi. I was listening to Budhia, and I'm struggling. I'm struggling to make up what Budhia is talking about. Budhia, we are way past election, and for some reason right now, we have a government in place. I'm struggling to understand how you can still take this time to start telling us about, I don't know, a tweaker moment. I don't know, Gachagua was to be our leader. I don't know. I think we need to start having a national discourse, not a regional discourse. And if you start having a national discourse, the presidency of Kenya is not a preserve for the central Kenya. So that we are trying to make it like it is something like we have words like it took a moment, or Gachagua was supposed to be. I find that as more of propaganda, in my view, and you're trying to struggle so hard to push it so that you can make us. First of all, you should know that it is one thing to make argument for the presidency, but it's another to make it look like it's a preserve for the central. It is an afro to the other Kenyans, 42 tribes, that you're trying to push like they are not supposed to even be thinking about presidency because it was supposed to be, and it is by right a central Kenya thing. I think that's not the way to go. Secondly, you are propagating the idea that Ndindi Nyoro is popular. That flies flat in the facts even released by IBC, as Julia said. 8 million Kenyans did not vote. 8 million Kenyans did not vote. If indeed, like you're suggesting, there was popularity, as you're saying, using some fact, then we would have had overwhelming voting across the board. That didn't happen, even from what was given by IBC, you know. So when you come and say people like Ndindi Nyoro are popular, I think that's a propagation and a propaganda that you're trying to still push. Which, I mean, if that's what works for you, but I'm struggling to understand where you're bringing out or you're coming out from the idea that Ndindi Nyoro is popular. If there was indeed popularity, you wouldn't have had 8 million Kenyans not voting. Thirdly, I think by now we should all, as Kenyans, rise above the idea that we need a discourse where, when we talk about corruption, it's not about someone being targeted. Mbudhia, I want to imagine that you want to move beyond the idea of Gachagua being a Central or a UDA person. You want to start talking about corruption. We need to move beyond the idea that this is our person being targeted. If someone is so eloquent and is making a case for a corrupt person and saying that that was a targeted thing, I think we Kenyans, we have lost direction. And if such people are the ones who are going to determine the trajectory of discourse of politics in Kenya, you can imagine where we are going as Kenyans. Because this Benson, by now, since we have already moved beyond elections, you don't want to call out people who are corrupt, call corruption for what it is. There are so many people and corruption cases that are there in courts, not necessarily because they are tribes. But if you can't explain something, come out and explain it. The fact that people have gotten into power and are using it to protect their positions. Aisha Jumwa is in court facing murder, and several other people there. I mean, we don't say that Azimio is any better. There are other people within that, and they should carry their cross. If you are accused of corruption, that is something we should be calling out. But when someone comes here and, I mean, Benson, you come in and then you start making, eloquently trying to make a case that, you know, the way we, you know, the tweaker or the 90% didn't listen to the president, that's a Central Kenya problem. It's not a Kenya problem. And indeed, if they didn't listen to him, would have expected overwhelming voting, because if the 8 million, even 4 million of the 8 million people didn't vote, voted for the people you are saying are popular, we wouldn't be where we were. So even if you want to make a case, even if you want to come and propagate a particular agenda, particular narrative that you want to push, try to the bare minimum. Be factual, at least to what you guys have given us. You have said that he got 7.2, while Raila got 6.9. Use that at least as a basis for your argument, and say, if Raila got 6.9 and Ruto got 7.1, then it shows you neither, I mean, the 8 million who didn't vote, if they voted, at least you'd have known which one was more popular. So I find it a little interesting. And sometimes I find it I struggle to find someone trying to make a case that is so misleading. Then he's trying to say that, we sent Mutai Ngugi, we sent I don't know Nancy who. Those are propagandas.
And you are trying to say, even as he's talking, he's saying, I don't want to go into detail the way we sent Mutai Nguni, the way we sent who and who. That is not here. Right now, we have a government in place. Can that government deliver? It doesn't matter what Central Kenya or who or Gachagua or who felt. We have a government that needs to deliver. Gachagua needs to stop telling us how the media is misquoting it. What are the policy documents on certain policy statements that need to guide Kenyans? We are way beyond coming to tell us, oh, Central wanted this, or Central rejected this, or Central that. We are Kenyans. I beg to kind of hold a different view. Once someone has become the president, it is incumbent upon all Kenyans to start making demands on that government to deliver to it. According to the Constitution, the president is a symbol of national unity. And right now, that's where we are. Ruto can go anywhere, anytime. It's up to him. I mean, as the head of state, he can go to Nyanza. Nyanza is Kenya. Mombasa is Kenya. The people who voted for Ruto and those who didn't vote for him, they are all Kenyans. He's free to move across the country. What we'd like to see are progressive policies that address the economic situation across the country. And for me, I really don't want to hold the idea that, oh, Luos or Kikuyus or this. I want to hold the idea that Kenyans need to make demands on the government, and the government needs to deliver. Whoever voted for them or not, now that we have a government in place, let them get their acts together and deliver to Kenyans. For me, that is more important. And if he's going to use, even if he's going to go to church, those places, to pacify the situation, that's okay. I mean, as long as at the end of the day, they deliver to Kenyans. I think that, for me, is more important, rather than focusing on the idea that we have Luos, we have Luyas, we have Kambas, we have this, we have that. I mean, we don't need that. I mean, we need to move to a situation where Kenyans are viewed as one, and development is spread across the country. And I liked what basically Owalo said, that they want to engage in economic front. Because if the Luos choose to take the idea that now we are Luos, we are still angry, development will escape that side for a while. The same thing has happened over time, economic sabotage that has happened across the time. So sometimes you need to move beyond that. That for me is a way of thinking that I would want us to move forward. Now, the other thing is, in 2013, when they created the government, they made a cabinet. Now, cabinet appointees are basically political appointees. That's what happens. Whoever comes in appoints people that they think they can work. Unfortunately, I agree with Julia that some of these people have been built by Ruto. What is the chances that they are going to make independent decisions to implement certain things? I don't think it might happen so independently. They might stick to a particular agenda. Probably in their first term, they can implement 20% of what they promised, and hoping to get another chance to implement another 20% when they come in 2027. So that 20% is supposed to give them an impetus to look for votes and say that you've done this, we require more time. So that is what I can say for now. Back to you, Makiadi.
Thank you, Ndemba. I was having connection issues, but I think I'm back now. Let me go to Disha, and then we can move from there.
Thank you, Makiadi. Hi, Julia. Hi, Demba. Hi, Christine. Hi, Ambiso. Hi, Benson. It's been a while since I saw Demba. I don't know whether I'm the one who's been away ama ni Demba amekuwa mbali. I want to say, let me commend Demba kwanza. I think Demba is raising critical issues on the way forward. I think we need to move away from who is in the government, who won, who lost. I think the government is here, whether it was legitimate or not. I think the government is in place, and we hold them accountable on the policies and the agenda they have for the Kenyan people. Sometimes I hear people saying that the country is divided. I don't hold that opinion myself, because I don't think Kenyan is divided. I must say I commend Kenyans for how they conducted themselves at this time around in terms of the after elections. We didn't see anything funny. Like, people went up by their businesses, and they never cared who won and who lost. I think it is some of us who think we call ourselves the elite, that we think that we are more superior than the rest. But Kenyans are, you go to Nairobi, go to Gikomba, go to where people wanachapa biashara kawaida. Like, in 2017, I have a cousin who runs some hardware in Kisumu. In 2017, his hardware was looted twice because he is not a Luo. But this time round, he woke up and everything. In fact, the second day alienda akafungua biashara na hakuna kitu imefanyika. He's happy. There are so many people doing businesses across the country. Na watu kama hawana haja ati we nani ameshinda. At the end of the day, mtu unafikirianga, do I have an opportunity to raise money for my kids, for myself, for a better future? We've ended up glorifying politicians, tunawaita our leaders. Those guys are just people who just elect to go to represent in terms of legislation, wherever. Lakini glorifying them as leaders, they are not leaders. Some of those guys are even crooks. It's only that vile elections inafanywaga, the majority wins. Sometimes wana-elect hata mtu mwenye you know his past, you know everything. But all the same, Kenyans are not divided. Kenyans are okay, and they are doing their business. Only the problem is that the cost of living is a problem right now. Regarding the visit of the president to Kisumu, I think it is in his own right kwenda mahali anataka. Na kama leaders wengine kila mtu ako na kalenda yake. Kama mtu alikuwa na kalenda yake aende biashara yake, ni sawa. Sio lazima ati mahali president ako lazima uende hapo. Follow your own calendar, follow your own schedule. Kama ilikuwa impromptu, you don't have to be there. Kama ilikuwa forum yenye alikuwa na wataka wote angewaambia, na kama hakuwaambia, then kila mtu mind business yake. I don't hold the view that you must have your own person in any elective position ndio muweze kufanikiwa. Personally, I happen to have come from a region where Moi was the president for 24 years. Na tuliona lami mara ya kwanza when Kibaki took over. Tuliona stima mara ya kwanza when Kibaki took over. So I don't hold the view that ati lazima mkuwe na mtu wenu. As long as mtu wako na agenda poa across the country, that is the way forward. Because I think in future, maybe, I don't know, maybe watoto wetu hawatafikiria mambo ya ati huu ni kabila yetu. Because tukiendelea hivyo, it be hard for any other community who ascend to power. Unless Kenyans waangalie beyond the tribe. Because kuongea saa hizi, it will be hard to beat the people like kama kila mtu atavote tribe, how will you beat the votes from Mount Kenya? It's so hard. How will you beat the votes from Western? It will be so hard. Unless sasa tuende in future where watoto watakuwa nafikiria ati kabila gani. Kama personally, I am married from another tribe. My kids hata sijui ni wanajiita tribe gani. They don't speak even any vernacular. They only speak Swahili and English kwa sababu hakuna atuongei ati lugha moja. So in fact, lugha ni kitu ya kuzaliwa naye. You can just the way you can learn French, you can learn Italian. So I don't know how inafikia stage yenye tunajicategorize ati mimi ni Mkikuyu, mimi ni Mjaluo. It is just a language like any other language. So it's personally, I have so many friends that they don't come from my tribe. I don't have siwezi penda mtu ati kwa sababu anaongea we speak the same language. No, I look at you as a person and the character. In terms of how the government is running at the moment, let me say it is just the beginning. We are optimistic, And I don't think we need to judge them so harshly, even in the first few days. We don't know. They are trying to set up their government. There are some things we don't need to hear. They need to deal with those issues. Huko back office, Wakenya hawafai kusikia vitu zingine. But sometimes, I would say sometimes when things are put into the light, ndio at least tunaweza kujua. Tukianza kujua, hatukuwa tunajuaga mambo ya treasury nini, hatujui hata central bank, hatujui isikia hata governor wa central bank anatuambia vitu kama hizo. But the more it becomes open to the public, the more watu wanaanza kuuliza maswali. Sometimes it's better for accountability. Tumeanza kuona, you've seen the likes of Safaricom and the banks. They just because Ruto aliongea mambo ya Fuliza and whatever, they are coming out in the first like 2 weeks. They are saying we are lowering the rates. Those are the things we want in country. Watu waanze kuwa open. Some of these things, one of the institutions zenye nimekuwa nikiangalia iko na ujinga. That's the way munasema. Benson alikuwa anasema like hizo mambo tulikuwa tunaona drama za arrest. We don't want to see those dramas. What happens? What has happened in like the DCI and the prosecution? They go arrest a person and then wakifika kotini wanaambia kotini, give us 14 days we investigate. What do you do first? You need to investigate. Ile ukipeleka mtu kotini, uko na everything on the table. Sio kusanya watu unapatia askari kama 50 alafu unashika mtu alafu ukifika kotini kesho tunaona mtu nje. Can you investigate first? Kuwa na file zote. Kama mtu ni corrupt, kuwa na everything. So that when you get into the courts, you don't have to beg for more time at I want to investigate. We don't want that. Tulikuwa tunaona wakituma kama kwa Wanjigi sijui askari sijui 50. Na watu wanatumbukia huko Yala, hakuna kitu hata tujaisikia. Watu wanarushwa kwa bahari kila siku. They cannot deploy such resources. We don't want that hypocrisy na vitu sijui zinakaa aje.
Point of order.
Yes.
I have only 2 things I want to put on board. One thing, first, don't use the word. No, it is a point of order.
Hold on, Honorable Bundi. If you have a question, I'll give you a minute to ask. If it's not a question, wacha malize submission yake. I'll come to you.
Let me raise my last points and then you can have the floor. In terms of judiciary, I think judiciary is one of the key institutions in I think your independence yao maybe I think it is not happening. I'm not sure about Mother Kome, the way an answer to engage na politicians and the executive. Somehow the independence will be compromised. Kwa sababu that is the last place yenye Wakenya uangalia, even when you have a issue ya shamba nini anything. Personally nishaipeleka mtu kotini because of theft. Wacha hii kesi tunaoneshwa za Supreme Court ati sijui kesi ati inafanywa aje. You go to the lower courts and look at what is going there. I went to court almost 10 times mpaka nika give up na hiyo kitu. The judiciary especially in the lower courts, the magistrate where a lot of Kenyans are visiting, it is in a terrible mess. And I hope kama wataongezewa pesa, they need to restructure that. A lot of Kenyans are getting injustice. Tusionyeshwe hii tunaangalia kwa news. Below there, it is a rotten place where magistrates and lawyers are colluding kusukuma kesi mpaka hata watu wanakufa kabla hata wajisikie hiyo kesi. Let me rest my case there.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me move to Ambiso, and then I think Ndemba, you can take over the stewardship from there.
Thank you very much everyone. Na wasalimu wote kwa wenye wameamka na wenye wanaingia usiku. Okay, mimi I just have simple submission. One, Ruto going to Nyanza, I think it is now evident that Ruto is preparing for 2027 politics. If you see the way Ruto is behaving, it is fine for him to tour everywhere in Kenya, but for me, I can see something is picking up. Ruto is preparing for 2027. I'll leave it at that. Today, I was so surprised when the Deputy President Gachagua was being interviewed on a television Citizen, and I'm surprised to see that somebody is coming out from the word they were using, like the economic downfall was coming from handshake thing, and right now somebody is changing these words to say that there's a problem with I don't know. He's coming out from the handshake and he's saying that the problem of economy is coming from, I think, economical change, climate change. Sorry. So I don't know what these people mean when they're saying that they're coming from words to words each and every day. So we as Kenyans, I don't know if we are being fooled. I don't know if there is something that is going on in this government, because these people, instead of giving us the promises they gave us before, they're right now changing from word to word. So Wakenya wanawachwa confused. We don't know what to do next, who to believe. Sasa sijui where are we going, where are we heading to? The issue of court, nasemaga kila siku hapa, our courts are not to be trusted. Our courts are not serious, and I don't think if anything these courts are going to tell us from the election or whatever to now, I don't think anything that the court is going to tell us Kenyans should even believe in, because these judges are just scam. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Dominic, I think. Just a question for you to think about, and maybe someone else. Is there anything wrong in Ruto preparing for 2022-27? I mean, as a politician, what you have won is not what is the problem, is what you are yet to get. So every politician need to be always thinking. I mean, the same thing should go to any politician who is getting into power. You need to prepare for the next part. So is there anything wrong with that? So that's just throwing it there. These are politicians, and he's a politician. Presidency goes for 2 terms. So 10 years. So as a politician, you need to think ahead. So is there anything wrong if he prepares for 2027? I want to just hold on. I'll come back.
Can I answer that, please? Just a minute, because that question is directed to me. Let me just answer this. For me, okay, I see there is nothing wrong with that, and that's why I'm saying, for him, Ruto going to Nyanza and all sort of the religion thing that he's trying to do, I think Ruto is trying to prepare for 2027, which it's not wrong for me, but I'm saying that is what I'm seeing happening. So him touring those areas, there is no problem with that, but I just see Ruto is aiming at something. That is what I'm seeing, which there is no problem. That is what I see.
All right, let me come to Honorable Bundi. Bundi, please.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Asante kwa nafasi. Najua hapa Kenya ndio masaa tunakimbia kazini tusichelewe na jamu. Mimi kwanza ningerekebisha ndugu yangu Disha. Amesema ya kwamba they have seen right at the end of the tunnel to Safaricom, banks and others. I want to remind him, if they really want to show us light na ukweli wa maneno, waanzie ile ya Kenchen na Kenya Power. That's where their interest lies. That's where a certain individual has been given a chance to hold almost half of shares, and everyone knows why. So kama ni kufanya vitu wazi, ifanywe kila sekta. Hawezi fanya eti inafanywa Safaricom kwa sababu Uhuru wako na share mingi, inafanywa Equity kwa sababu walichanga ile mrengo wa Azimio. Sasa uwasi hakuna pale, ndugu yangu Disha. About touring, I agree with Delik or disagree in one way. During the campaign, which I knew some of us know, Ruto started the campaign 2017, 2022. He visited Mount Kenya almost 100 and plus times. Hakuna siku kama 2-3 walienda Nyanza. Why now? Why today? It is true he's preparing himself in 2027, trying to convince the Nyanza region where most people never voted for him. What we want to see ni unga ya 80, mafuta ya 100, Rita, hizo ndio tunataka kwanza the promise. By now changing our style of climate change, exactly that's what they are saying. Tunataka unga ya kidogo ya pesa kidogo, tunataka mabarabara, tunataka 100 billion kwa vijana ya Kisumu, tunataka pesa ya wamama 3 billion, tunataka those sectors, those billions, we want them to be pumped kwa sekta mbalimbali kulingana na manifesto during the campaign time, because you cannot come today or answer tactics. Uchumi ni mbaya, tumepata 93 million kwa bank. Some people here, some of us, we have already been paid. Kwani pesa ilitoka wapi? Unataka kuniambia ni 98 million imelipa wa Kenya wote? No, that's not the thing. Kindly, there is no need of trying to fool us. Na ni vizuri, I remember our president one time told us, Wakenya wajinga wamepungua Kenya. Ni ukweli wamepungua, hawako. So we still remind him that way, that we are not stupid, we know what we are doing. What we want is service delivery. What we want is, we want to read from the scripture of our manifesto. We want to see the hospitals equipped the way they told us. What we want to see the roads. Yes, of course, yatafanya siku mingi, ndio masiku ni kidogo, but you can tell the excuse already started. And I'm telling you, there is nothing is going to happen. If you see the ministerial, the cabinet, those are their people. He knows what he's doing. If you go roads and who is in roads, your guess is good as mine. I'm not really criticizing Ruto because I was supporting Raila. I'm still supporting Raila, and I will support Raila until the end. Hata kama hata simama rais, nitaendelea kumsupport tu, because I know what that man has done to this country. These are telling us ati si lazima mtu yenu akuwe rais kwa sababu ndio Kenya iendelee, ndio si watoto waka waongee lugha yao. My brother, you are speaking to yourself. When you are telling us Kenyans are happy, tell people some can use the word some, then you ongea ya Kenya. Don't say Kenyans. Usiniweke hapo na maybe mwingine mwenye tunatembea naye tunajua vile wameumia bado. So say some Kenyans. Don't say Kenyans are happy. They are doing their work. No, we are not. Some of us, we are not. So we are not included the entire Kenyans you are using. Because we know how this election was won, we know there was a majority of the votes you are telling us. We know how the court cases went, how the hotel was used. We know now the reward of the Chief Justice, the husband has given.
I think he's dropped off. Hopefully he'll be back. Okay. Karibu Mise.
Asante
Yeah.
sana.
No, I got lost. Can I finish, please?
Okay.
Si kama inacho network pia ikiona unasema ukweli haikuwezi kupenda. Maybe hao watu wamenisikia. Mimi walichulia nimekuwa na habari yako sasa. Hiyo ndio ukweli. We have seen what Sichete were rewarded. We know the husband is going to be the Inspector General. We know Chebukata has been rewarded with the daughter is a CS now, and many, many more. And we have seen the first time Supreme Court lining up in such a political arena could receive. We have never seen that even more era than us. Now, Mr. Disha, talk to yourself first. I'm happy you are supporting that side. Please be yourself and be Lily. let us wacha tukue kwa upande ya ukweli. So some of us, we are supporting Azimio because we know the kind of people who are there, the kind of Kenya we want. We know where we're heading. We know what the civil servant going through who are supporting Azimio. We know the threats are now going all over. Some of us we don't want to close here because I don't know where I will be tomorrow. My brother, we are in Moi era. Expect to see nothing like this man is working. Nothing. Thank you and have a good day.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bundu. Miss
Asante sana. Bundi, usikimbie. Umetuambia uongo mingi lakini ni sawa. Asante sana Julia, habari yako? Nianzie wewe. You look good in blue. Adika, thank you for choosing yellow as the color. It is always good to see such representations on both sides of the divide. Themba, thank you very much. Good to see you, Disha, Derek, and Honorable Bondi. I am so happy, Themba. I listened to your submission and I thought that every Kenya Kwanza supporter should start listening to you because your advice and your views are very they have a lot of weight and people and wisdom, and people need to start listening to you. So I agree. And Derek, I heard you saying that you know that Ruto is preparing for 2027, and I think Themba, in your wisdom, you asked what's the problem, and Derek could not answer that question, and that's why he disappeared to the thin air. However, Themba, something that I heard in your statement that was very interesting is when you said that it doesn't matter who the president is now. We need to hold this government accountable, and the president of the Republic of Kenya is Dr. William Samoei Ruto. But I would also like to add that if you want to hold the government accountable, we need to leave this walloping in the past that you didn't win, or you didn't do what, and be constructive and objective in our asking so that the president can be accountable. If we keep asking if he is a president of all, then we should start having constructive criticism as opposed to living in the past and crying, oh, the judiciary did this, the judiciary did that. And one thing I want to add is that the majority are not always right. Yes, Azimio or Kenya Kwanza might be saying, oh, you are an illegitimate government, or you are a minority. Yeah, it is about time that we understand. It could be Azimio might have had the numbers, but the government of the day is Kenya Kwanza, and we should live with it and ask constructively on what we can do. And also, I like the way, Themba, you said, I was listening to you keenly in saying and redirecting people to the constitution, that the president is the symbol of unity in our country. So these speculations that when the president went to HomaBay, that the president is campaigning for 2027 is actually misleading, because it is in the preserve of the president to unite us as one nation. And so while he goes to any part of the country, it is he is perfectly within his mandate and the responsibility that has charged to him to unite us as a country, and that we should be happy that he is beginning to listen to the people. I listened to the speech at HomaBay and what the people were saying. One of the things that was apparent is that the president, the people, the residents of HomaBay said that they have never seen any president going there. So, meaning the assignment of the president to have gone there where other presidents have not had the time to go was well executed. And the president should make more findings. The parts which have not been listened and the president have not visited there to listen one-on-one what their demands are. And so I think that's what I wanted to respond, and wanted to tell Honorable Bundi that hii maneno ya kulialia nini, your priorities are not the priority of the president. While you want the president to start with the water, for example, address water, and the president starts addressing health, what is the problem with that? So your priority, you are not the president. If you wanted your priorities to be addressed in the manner that you have listed them, you could have campaigned and become the president. So lecturing the president of the agenda and priority is actually misguided. The president promised a few things that we have started seeing him addressing. He promised of the lowering the rates of Lisa, and I agree with you, Disha, that when in the past we were governed in darkness. Now there's social media. There is many ways that we can know what is going on in the government, and this is very nice to our country. Let me stop there. But in the meantime, the subject of discussion today is about governors not having degrees. We've had very qualified governors who have done nothing. And so it's about time we start investigating whether these degrees are of any substance for one to have in order to qualify to become a leader or a politician, or we should abolish them as as someone had gone to court and asked that it's of no importance for us to have degree. Because if you look at most people who have most qualified, wao ndio wametusumbua sana. Tuanzie huyo William Ruto, amesoma na mnasema anaiba sana na bado anaitwa daktari, na kama hii udaktari ndio inafanya watu wanajua kuiba zaidi, then it's about time to start re-evaluating the kind of education that we are getting in school, whether it is necessary for us to have. And I'm listening to Gachagua. I think Gachagua should tone down. The mood of the country is not. I think maybe someone needs to work with him on the way he should deliver the message. He might be having a good message to the country, but his tone is very condescending, very worrying, and I think we need to have someone who needs to help Gachagua in either speech writing, speaking, public speaking, so that he can know how to deliver the message that will resonate with the people of Kenya, and the people will connect with him, as opposed to people thinking that Gachagua is on a spree mission of revenging. Thank you very much. Let me stop there for now.
Yes, Makiadi.
Thank you, Ndemba. I realized Mise obviously did not see me on the panel for reasons better known to him. But Mise, let me say hi to you.
My apologies. I was confused. When Julia and Christine are here, I think I couldn't think straight. Please receive my apologies unreservedly.
All right, noted. Thank you. My question goes to you, to Mise here. I think most of us here on the panel have actually said that we have no problem with Ruto going to wherever the place he thinks he wants to go, because he's the president of the Republic of Kenya. But if you look at the people that are crying right now, it's not the people in Azimio. People in Azimio are not complaining that Ruto went to HomaBay. In fact, people supported him for going there. People agreed that it is a good thing. It is a show of reaching out to the other side. It is people in KKA and people in UDA that are crying that the leadership of HomaBay did not attend Ruto's function. So that is the big issue right now. This was not supposed to be like making a mountain out of an anthill. It was supposed to be a very simple issue. The president goes to worship at AIC, Homa Bay, and leaves, and that's it. But now, because the governor of Homa Bay excused herself, and she sent a message very clearly. She said she had other engagements and she was not informed early enough. And same thing that happened to Kaluma. They excused themselves because they were not informed early enough to do their own change their schedule. So this is an issue that has been politicized. Right now, it looks like the people have been reading some, tweets from people from KKA saying that it looks like people in Nyanza are still in bondage. And because by virtue of them refusing to go to Ruto's church function, then they should be excluded in the development structure of the next on this regime. That's number one. Number two, I want to address the issue of the degrees, college degrees, for that matter, in terms of governance. Miss, I believe you have read the constitution. It is the constitution that says if you want to run for governor, you must have a degree. It is not us. It is not the High Court it's not for the High Court to decide that. This thing is in the constitution. And this is what we are saying here. Most of us have observed the kind of decisions that are coming from the High Court, from this issue of the the degree requirement for governors. We have seen other judgments that have been passed in the Ata Sai. Let me tell you, Mise Saizi, I just realized that there's a judgment that came out the other day. KPLC kikukatia stima, you can sue them and they are supposed to pay you. The reason, they are interfering with your freedom of speech. I don't know if you've read that judgment. It came out the other day. I think ni jana ama ni juzi November, sijui kama umeona hiyo judgment. So right now you have the right to sue even if you don't pay. So ukikataa kulipa stima ukatiwe stima. Yeah, that's a decision that was made the other day. Ukikataa kulipa stima ukatiwe stima, you can sue KPLC na wakulipe kwa sababu wameinterfere na freedom yako ya speech. And the case was presented. It was presented by a lecturer known as Professor Moni Wekesa. And the judgment says you can now sue KPLC if it disconnects your power supply, the court rules. And the decision was made that by the company disconnecting his power, it had interfered with his freedom of association, because he was not able to charge his phone. I'll send you a link to that if you want to look at the judgment. And I'm telling you, Mr. These are the kind of things that we are saying. The kind of progress that the court had been, made to go through during Maraga's tenure. You look at the strides that Maraga has put the courts through, from the Supreme Court down to the magistrate court. You can see the kind of progress that we had in Kenya. But right now, simply because the judgment that came from the judgment that we call the hot air judgment has made the judiciary, lose its focus. People are waking up and making funny decisions. There was another love letter, I don't know from Judge who. It was like a poem. So I'm looking at this judiciary and I'm saying we have to make a decision on whether we have to reform this judiciary or not. Because as I look at the judiciary right now, rightly constituted at the moment, this judiciary is a joke. And that is why you can see the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya, who is a president of an arm of government. The CJ is not just a CJ, is a president of an arm of government, an arm that is equally represented in the constitution, just as the executive and the legislature, lining up in parliament to welcome the president of the Republic of Kenya. These are things we've never seen. And people should wake up to such issues and say, is this the judiciary that we want moving forward? Even people, there's a constitutional lawyer. He was part of the Supreme Court case. He's called Ndegwa Njiru. I want to read what he said. He said the courtship between William Ruto and CJ Martha Koome is toxic and worrying. By 2025, we will be talking about lifting the term limits, and the courts will endorse it and say it's the will of the people. So that's how serious this thing is going. Thank you, Ndemba.
Yes, Mr.
I'm just struggling to understand what Makiadi has just said. Makiadi, that interpretation is pedestrian. You cannot say, or nobody can argue that like your right of expression and fundamental freedom of expression can be impeded by your failure of paying your bills. So it is not in the right. The KPLC is in the business. They equally have a right within the same constitution to be able to conduct business as prescribed and as needed by the laws of the land. So when that, you need to read that interpretation properly. There is a rationale, or rather there's a reasoning behind that motion or that bill to argue that way. Maybe that is one way of arguing that way, but fundamentally, any business, then it's like you're saying, if Safaricom suspends my line for failure for paying a postpaid line for failure to pay my bill, then I should sue Safaricom. Why? Then Safaricom will close down business. So I think that the pedestrian interpretation of the Constitution should not be taken seriously, because no sane court will allow any business that is registered by the same government to be intimidated by such pedestrian interpretation of the Constitution, because every right that you have, every freedom that you have, also on the other end has a limitation. There is no right or freedom that you have that is absolute. It is limited. How is it limited? Because it has to work in line with other laws of the in line with the other laws of the land. Thank you.
Adisha, you wanted to say something?
Is the guy who was here but he's left. I wanted to clarify a few to correct him. He says that the government has rewarded the Chief Justice with the husband. That is not the husband of the CJ. Sometimes we bring rumors here and he says that the health CS that has been nominated, that is the daughter to Wafula. Sometimes they spread rumors and people might think it's true. I just wanted to tell him, but anyway, it's okay.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Disha. Those are propagandas. I mean, Gomez, my husband, whatever. Those are propagandas. So let's not use it to evoke more emotions. There's nobody's husband. Wafula, that's not the daughter to Chebukati, and even the other one. Those relations, you can share names, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're related. Christine, you want to say something before I bring Julia?
Yeah, so good to see you, Themba. It's been a while. Anyway, you didn't say hi to us. I don't know where we met, when we met last. But if you have anything against us, I'm sorry. So, me say, good to see you. It's been a while, but just for avoidance of doubt, I'm an Azimio diehard. I'll not change, and I don't think an outfit symbolizes anything, because from what I can see, Disha's top is also blue. Can we say that he's an Azimio supporter? So I wanted to say something as I clarify something to Disha. Ruto is the same person. Sometimes I normally say the power of the tongue. Ruto is the same person who criticized Raila so much for working with Uhuru, the handshake. But him now wanting to work with HomaBay elected members, isn't that another handshake? And if there's any development that has to come to Luo Nyanza, I believe even Azimio, as they were going all over the country, going to different parts of the country campaigning, they had their manifesto for each and every region. And that's why Raila said one county, one product, because he had factored no matter what, whether a county votes for him or not, each county has to just earn the benefits of his government. Ruto, in the first case, never even campaigned in Luo Nyanza, you know. So, and Disha, when Themba said that the country was divided 7.1 against 6.9, you said that as far as you know, people are at peace, businesses are continuing as usual. And that makes me wonder why, when we are reading information or getting information, we are selective. When we come here, we talk like we want all of us to support Kenya Kwanza government. It's the same way we have to give credit where it's due. Misa, you should also stop coming to remind us, accept and move on, whether we like it, this is the government. That is being mean and rude. Disha, as far as I understand, Raila came clearly the other day and talked that he is an AU representative. The reason why he didn't say anything after the hot air lady and wild goose chaser made that verdict, us as Raila supporters, we were ready for anything. We were just waiting for his word. And even when he said 1 million march, we were ready. He never opened his mouth to say that because he knew what would have happened to this country. So when you come here and say that the country is moving on, there's no division, Kenya is one. Yes, Kenya is one, but remember there are people hurting. And when people like Inamise come here, people are watching, people are still hurting. It's not that easy, especially when we feel that this win is not legitimized, it's not fair, the decisions were made were not fair. We can see how the judiciary is so much cozy with the government. I think Mise should just grow up. I used to like Mise. We had a deal previously which Themba was overseeing. But at this point, we just need to be human and talk. As much as we are super excited, we want for us also to embrace this government, the forgiveness, the peace that Ruto is also looking for. You as Ruto supporters, it should start with us. So ukikuja hapa unatufungulia mdomo, unaturingia, we have to accept and move on. Mise, we are not super excited to be here. We are not. Ni uchungu tu nafanya. It's right now, it's 11 going to 12. I'm here just want to see what is happening back home. So stop reminding us. If you want genuinely, it's okay. We know Ruto is the government. So you should also mind your words, your statements. And when you come here, stop coming here, correcting Julia Themba's statement, Makiadi's statement. The topic is down here. We also want to hear your contribution. So, ukikuja hapa na kwanza kutuambia ABCD, Mise, we are hurting. It's not easy. It's not fair. We mwenyewe ulibiwa kura zako. How did you feel? So, stop reminding us of a stolen election. We're not stolen. There's nowhere you're going to take us. It's high time we now sit and make statements that heal people so that we move together as a country. Uko Canada, uko Miguna, uko Canada. Sisi ndo tunaweza saidiana hapa Mise. Sometimes the power of your tongue. Ruto doesn't know you. Hakujui, but I know you. So whatever statement you're making here, make statement that I'm comfortable meeting you and we share a drink, we eat lunch. Don't just come opening your mouth for the sake of opening. People are hurting.
Julia.
Okay, Mise has had. Mise, usiweke mkono yako kwa ile nyumba ya nyuki. The bees will sting your hand if you do that. Or if you take your face close to that, the bees will sting your face. I wanted to ask a question to Disha. I don't know whether I understand to be corrected. You said that the banks are bringing down the interest rates. I thought I heard that the central bank has increased the borrowing rate. So what we know that if the central bank increases the borrowing rate, then the commercial banks are also going to increase the interest rates for borrowing. I think we had that discussion some few days earlier about how central bank announced new higher rates. So I don't know how the commercial banks are going to bring down the borrowing rates. And we were here discussing if the central bank increases the borrowing rates, then the commercial banks will do likewise. That is why the central bank is doing that to make the commercial bank increase the borrowing rates. So I don't know how I stand to be corrected, but I think there was news attributed to that the central bank increased the borrowing rates. So it means if the central bank increases the rates, then the commercial banks are going to increase the borrowing rates too. So I don't expect KCB to lower their rates. I don't know how Safaricom is going to work with those the rates they are talking about, because they are all interconnected. The other thing, Mr. said that we should stop, I don't know, harassing the president or saying this about the president. I mean, it is our time now to ask for to demand that our expectations are met, like Demba said. It's our time now. So we expect unga iende 70 bob. We expect our children to go to school. We expect to see results, Mr. Mise. And we aren't gonna stop saying, yeah, someone is saying it's to 8.75. It must have been 7 or something. So if you see the central bank rate is 8.75, it's likely the commercial bank rates will go to 12 or something close to that, which means Kenyans will stop borrowing. Is Irene Aimba correcting me, telling me that the central bank increased to 8.75? And that's the borrowing of central bank. So it means the commercial banks rates will be higher. Now, Mr., we're going to pin down this government. We're going to keep asking ourselves, instead of this street politics, can we see Ruto and his cabinet sit down and make policies and start working? Why I'm saying this, Mr., I'm like Christine, mimi ni mtu azimio. So, Baba was very clear of what he was going to do. He said there are about 2 million families that needed to be given 6,000. So if Baba was the president, today is second, I would be wanting to know, did these 2 million families get their 6,000 shillings each? I would be wanting to know that. Now, Baba talks about free education. Today, I would be wanting to know, Baba umechagua cabinet. January, watoto wetu wanaenda shule bila kulipa. I would be wanting to know. I mean, Baba was very categorical. Then Mother said something because she was going to be in charge of the constitutional review, justice, and constitutional review. So she said that these corruption cases should not go for more than 6 months. I stand to be corrected. So I would be wanting to know, how is Mother going to implement that? Which motion is she taking to Parliament? Those are the things I would be wanting to know from Mother. Baba talked about one county, one product. I would be wanting to know, how is Baba intending to implement that? But now, as I stand here, Mise, I don't know what Kenya Kwanza want to do with us. I don't know what they want to do with our children going to school. Me, I have families I support in Kenya, and therefore, hata kama niko America, I feel the pinch when the kids are going to school. Inaniumanga sana kama wanarudi shule, ninasikia ati huyu principal after wiki mbili ameitisha sijui 60k. It pains me. So now I don't know what Kenya Kwanza want. I don't know this Mashogu man is gonna do. I don't know what Aisha Juma is gonna do with the gender thing. I'm asking myself what Alice Wahome is gonna do with, I think, water and sanitation. Is she gonna ensure that we have water, clean drinking water? I mean, that is where we are. Me now, wacha you unasema tumeshindwa tujashindwa. But now those are the questions that are lingering in my mind, and just like every other Kenyan. And so as they linger in my mind, then I come to a conclusion. These guys who are in the cabinet are just psychophants. Sasa niambieko, acha ni kuongelesho kama utasikia vile nikiongea hivyo. Niambieko, Aisha Juma will go fighting for her case first, ama atashughulikia maneno ya agenda. Tell me something, whether she's gonna do that. Tell me when Kuria will stop using his foul mouth and start working. Niambie tu, this guy was given treasury. Akona scandal. He was even removed because of scandals, corruption scandals. Now, tell me, Mr. Mise, that this guy is going to sit and decide, mimi leo nimeokoka kama Paulo. I'm no longer Saul, I'm Paul. I'm not going to steal a single coin from your treasury, fellow Kenyans. Tell me when this guy is going to do that. This guy, chill, amewekwa energy. Chill aliwacha your docket because of scandals. Uniambie what he's going to do with Didi Nyoro, who has more than, who it is reported, he has more than the shares, half the shares of Kenya Power. Na saizi wa Kenya wanaramika juu ya token, na tunalipa sijui pesa ngapi, token zako zimepungua. Wacha huyu anapeleka KPLC kotini. Sasa wa Kenya sijui watawapeleka kotini gani juu kotini ya Martha, na Martha ako ndani ya serikali. So tell me what Chichi will do to make our lives better in terms of energy and power. Tell me, Mr. Mise. So you will understand me when I say that I seriously think the cabinet is Ruto. There's one cabinet secretary called Dr. William Samoei Ruto, who is the president, because the deputy president is busy insulting Uhuru in media centers. So there is one president who is Dr. William Samoei Ruto. He's a cabinet secretary for education, for energy, for agriculture, for whatever, for defense. He's a cabinet secretary. Sasa atakuwa akisema Alice Wahome, ulichimba, did you make a well in Muranga somewhere? That is how Ruto will operate. So, Mr. Miss, let me tell you something. I think after 6 months, me and you here, we'll come back and agree. When you taniambia, Julia Nikubaya, things are so bad in our country. We don't know what's going to happen now. Because you will agree with me. Because these guys are behaving like they didn't even know they were going to be president. Because if I were in the shoes of Mr. William Ruto, I would thank my Lord and the gods for whichever means that happened that I became president. And I would sit down and decide, I will have people who are going to work for me, whom I believe can perform, whom I believe are going to produce results. That you don't have done. Now we are discussing about 5 cabinet secretaries who have questions, and we are questioning. And then me, I'm asking about now when you had to do. So me, I'm asking myself, how is Ruto going to handle this? So Ruto, we say we don't ask questions. We're going to ask many questions, and we're going to continue asking questions. And maybe she'll ask questions for the next 5 years. But I don't think I expect anything. I expect our situation than we are. Actually, I expect to see a Moi era coming. Kwa hivyo, Kenyans, tighten your belt. I'm sorry for preparing you for worse things. Asante Demba.
Demba, have a right.
Thank you. Let me say something before I bring you back, Miss. You need to correct the idea that I have issues when someone who has been gongering me for long starts supporting me. I usually have issues with that. They say when your enemy starts clapping for you, then you have stopped becoming what so you will make me start doubting myself, because you've been a hard hitter and you're Kenya Kwanza. So when you start agreeing with me, I have issues. But anyway, that's besides the point. When you say that the president is a president of Kenya, you have a government, and then later you're telling us that we shouldn't make demands on him, you're contradicting yourself in a similar statement. Our making demands to the Kenya Kwanza government is not based on what we really expect, because Ruto used a lot of money. He campaigned for 8-9 years to get it, right? He used lots of money, and he has somehow to come up with ways of recouping that money, and how is he gonna recoup that money? He's gonna do it through these cabinet positions, and most likely as soon as they hit the road running, most of these cabinets and all those ministries are going to come up with the projects, and those projects are the ones that are going to be used to siphon money. One, to make them campaign for 2027, and also to return the money that he used. There's money that Ruto was giving in every campaign platform in Central, everywhere. I mean, that money has to get back, unfortunately, and that's the reality about politics. They say use money to get power, then you use power to recover your money and protect your money. So the unfortunate bit is that is what is going to happen. So putting pressure on Kenya Kwanza government is not so much about what you expect of them, it's for them to deliver on what they promised you guys. You know, it's unfortunate that the Kenya Kwanza people are still paying more than 100 on unga, you know, and they were promised that unga will be 70, but immediately Kenya Kwanza gets into power. They have started a narrative that there's no money. That's a narrative to now make the Kenya Kwanza guys become a little, you know, to pacify the emotions, which I think they have succeeded. If you see Mr. coming here to try and say give him time, that's a way of pacifying. And now the deputy president is spending more time on the media houses than he is on policy rooms, because Gachagua ought not to be spending more time in attending media houses. Whatever, they should be having their meetings to try and create policy that is going to at least provide for what they promised to deliver to their supporters, because that is exactly what any government is supposed to do. Not defending or talking about why we won or why we did. That is now a case that ought not to. You already have it. You know, they say if you have power, is like a pretty human. If you have to explain how powerful you are, then you're not. So if they are just like, if you have to explain how pretty you are, then you're not. They already are in power. They already are in the office. What you need to see is what they can do with that power, not always spending time on media and across to try and say the media should not, the media should not misquote me, or this and that. We don't need that right now. So, Mise, if anything, we are just trying to help your Kenya Kwanza government at least deliver what they promised to you, and by extension, hopefully, other Kenyans will appreciate and will celebrate. Within 100 days, I don't know how many days have passed so far. They had said they were going to deliver certain things within 100 days. All they have done along that time is do a lot of, excuse, what's happening. So I'm hoping that Mise, other than telling us not to give demands, governments are put in place and the citizens are supposed to make demands on that government to deliver. If the citizens don't make demands on the government, there is a likelihood that that government will not deliver. So you cannot tell Kenyans not to make demands. You know, voting is just a way of getting leaders, whether we voted for you or not. I mean, for lack of another way of getting leaders, we have voting, we have an election. But once you have gotten into the office, there's the president in the constitution is not written Kenya Kwanza. It is the president of Kenya. The constitution does not the constitution read within its context does not in that particular part where it says the president does not say the UDA president or the whatever party president acknowledges the president of the country. Even the article that talks about the president as the symbol of national unity, it doesn't say the party that is only going to be responsible to unifying the people who voted for him. And once he's been elected, then the citizens make demands, and that's how it happens. So I'm hoping that Ms. even as you encourage us and talk to us positively about the Kenya Kwanza, I mean the president, you will not make it as look bad because you're making demands. Demands will be made, and it is the people, the citizens, who make demands on the government of the day. So I'll allow you to speak, and then I bring in. I don't know why we have very few minutes. Actually, you're not going to stay long. We have like only 36 minutes to go. So we are not going to stay long here. The people who are coming in, mjue mtakuwa na dakika kidogo kidogo. Tomorrow ni siku ya kazi, and we don't want to keep people here up to 2 a.m. All right? So we have only about 36 minutes. So before I bring these other guys to speak again, Nise and Disha, let me allow this gentleman. I see Kusawa has come in, Guru and Wangira. Let me allow them at least 3 minutes, so that we spend the rest of the time positively before we close. And
can I respond, because there were a lot of things that Julia and Christine
No.
mentioned.
You can just hold on for a while, and then we'll come back to you. At your point, you'll give that response. Let me start with Kusel. At least dakika tatu, Guru dakika tatu, Wangira dakika tatu.
Oh, thank you, Themba. Thank you, Themba. Good evening. Is it Julia, Tisha? Miss, I told you to spell your name correctly. Christine.
Is that how you pronounce it, or you?
Miss, your name is misspelled. Wangira, how are you? Guru. There are so many things to talk about, including what is there. This degree thing, I think our courts are really letting us down. There is this thing they call the letter of the Constitution, the letter of the law, and the spirit of the law. If you really want to imagine what the constitutional makers were thinking about, surely you realize that the judges are really taking us the wrong way. It is not right. This country cannot stay stagnant all this time. It is not fair. It is not fair. Now, I'm told that there are very many cases pending in court. If that be the case, then you find courts concentrating on these flimsy issues. Recently, I don't know whether the cases have been verified. I'm told that all the cases about somebody like the former Kiambu governor, that they have been dropped. It doesn't make sense. Why in a hurry to drop these things? Why don't you let the due process take its course? Now, they're making the cabinet, and I'm wondering why people who have cases, active cases, as much as your laws say that innocent until proven guilty, anybody who has a case, an active case in court, for heaven's sake, why would anybody make such a person like a cabinet secretary? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And then again, under the Constitution, the hierarchy in terms of pecking order, I think it is the president, then there is the deputy president, and then I think there is the speaker of the National Assembly, is it? Now, during the cabinet announcement, I heard the DP saying that Mudavadi is the third in command. And then he goes ahead to give Gachagua the so-called roles of oversight over the ministries and the interministerial functions. Then he comes to Mudavadi and says that he's going to be the coordinator. Now, oversight and coordination of the same ministerial, whatever they are, it leaves, for those who check details, it leaves a lot to, there's a lot of confusion there. It's a lot of confusion there. Then I think under the Constitution, you're supposed to have a maximum of 22 ministers. Now, if there is now what you call a prime CS, so where is that? Where is that ministry? Is it part of, now when Mudavadi goes to parliament for vetting, What is being vetted? Is it a cabinet secretary or what is it? So many things need to be clarified. But anyway, we'll see. Because if he goes as prime cabinet secretary, I'm sure the parliament might say it is unconstitutional. Remember, when Matiang'i was given that executive order, he remained a cabinet secretary. It's just that the roles included the additional under the executive order. We used to call him the chief, whatever, or the chief, or the cabinet secretary. But on paper, that was just in the eyes of the public or in the eyes of the president. But on paper, Matiang'i was just a CS interior with added roles. So the issue of Mudavadi, I think, is going to bring a problem when it goes to parliament for vetting. Now, then there comes in the issue of the other ministers, the ones who have cases. Linturi, there is, there's Linturi, Aisha Jumwa, there is, Ndungu, the Laris scandal. The Kuria, I think, has got an assault case. Mutua also has an issue, I think, an integrity issue with his, is it girlfriend or wife? The challenge is, as much as innocent until proven guilty, what do you do when you are the president of the country and you are naming people who have active cases in court, including murder cases? Sure. It leaves a lot to be desired. I want to quickly talk about the issue of NSSF, the added amount contribution, which I think Parliament is going to create a law to formalize that. The additional NSSF contribution, and then there is the NHIF, I think, also contribution, whereby the minimum is going to be now 400, and then NHIF, I think the minimum should be 500. Now, the issue is that, strictly speaking, this is, if you look at your pay slip, for those who are in formal employment, with your pay slip, what does it mean? It means that the pay as you earn has gone up, strictly speaking. But I remember the president was almost laughing that, how do you save 72,000 in 30 years? Now, the truth of the matter is that Kenyans do not use NSSF as a saving. Any serious person would not be using NSSF and you rely on that you are saving money. In fact, most people would do away with NSSF if they can, if they have the option. In fact, a number of employers in the formal sector, most of them do not even submit it. And for those who have interacted with NSSF, you realize that is the case. It is not submitted. But nevertheless, most people do not look at that as a saving. They have alternatives. For those who have checked, you realize that there are contributory schemes where people who earn more, they don't look upon NSSF for pension or anything. It is just that it is the law says so, and they are helpless about it. The truth of the matter is that most people have got private contributory schemes where they do savings. So the president, I think, should not laugh at Kenyans comparing us with Uganda to say that you are doing so poorly. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. But nevertheless, he can use it to increase the deduction, this call it statutory deductions on people's pay slips. Now, I want to conclude by talking about these interest rates, the Felicia thing, and the CRB. Now, the president was saying that they are going to use an approach whereby the CRB was going to be done on a scoring kind of scale. What he doesn't know is that by the time somebody ends up at CRB, believe me, so many things have happened. It is as a last resort. Banks are not doing this because they want. And CRB approach or whatever is not a Kenyan thing. This is a worldwide financial discipline in the financial sector. You can't say that Kenyans are being punished when you have defaulters who have been given first chance, second chance, third chance, almost a fifth chance. They are not paying. By the time you end up in CRB, so many things have taken place. And to come around and say that that you should use the credit scoring, what does he think the banks are doing? That is exactly what the banks are doing. By the time you end up in CRB, so much has taken place. So much has taken. That is just now the beginning of to try and instill discipline in the financial sector. You need that CRB. Now, the issue of Fuliza, the president was saying that cost of credit has come down. Fuliza is not even 0.002% of credit in the country, in the financial sector. It is not. Now, I talked to some people at home, and I was surprised to hear that people think that if you have Fuliza 1,000, they think the 50% reduction is now that you pay 500. How misleading. There is a 0.005 cost, financial cost, like you can call it like interest on the amount you have borrowed. And that is where the 50% is. So if the fee for a Fuliza of 1,000 is 10 shillings, it means now you'll pay 5. It's not that your loan of 1,000 is reduced to 500. No. And that is what the people who are using Fuliza think, that now they are going to pay less Fuliza. No. You still pay the loan. There is a fee for giving you the service. You can call it interest. That is what came down by 40-50%. I hope that would be now clear. I think let me stop there so that I give you other people a chance to do their contributions. Thank you.
Thank you. Guru.
Habari zenu. Let me say, I've seen that a high court saying there will be no need for degrees for governors. Now, there is a problem in this country. I don't know what the problem is with the judiciary, because they are issuing statements right, left, and center in complete disregard of the spirit of the Constitution and the law. Now, who is this statement meant to serve? Of what benefit is it now? Is it that it is anticipatory for purposes of cushioning some people? And in any case, those who took this matter to Parliament and it was accepted that the governor should have degree, at that level, they had reasons why. And I don't know whether those reasons are now not valid. Because basically it is that a person who is much more learned is able to understand matters of management much better, especially of resources, and is also able to grasp concepts of environment, water, financial management, town planning, and so on and so forth, much better than somebody who is not gone to school or who has not gone to school properly. I don't know, when a society starts lowering its standards, then that society is headed in the wrong direction. What we are doing here is lowering our standards. Funny enough is that Kenya is said to be one country that has the highest concentration of graduates in this side of the of the continent in all manner of fields. Now, what will we do with all this investment in education? Why do we have to pass messages to the youth that it doesn't matter whether you've gone to school or not? The role of a governor is a heavy responsibility because that person is expected to act on behalf of the county in all aspects and understand issues in a wider scope. When you have somebody who cannot understand, then you have a problem. You saw what happened in Nairobi when you had Mike Sonko. You saw what happened in Kiambu when we had the likes of Waititu, who are said to have degrees, but questionable ones. So basically what it is here is that Kenya, the way we are headed, we are not headed in the right direction. Very soon we will say that an MCA should just be a standard 8 fellow, apparently because he's just representing people down there. But how do you read when you are in the same level with the subjects, with the people that you are reading? How do you show them the way when you don't have more knowledge than they have? Then what is the purpose of all this education? I think the problem with Kenya is that the political class and the judiciary, they have self-serving interests that are opposed to the overall good of the society. They are just serving personal interests, and things here are decided on the convenience of some political elite to make it easier for them to get to where they want. Now, on the issue of Ruto, I don't want to talk much, but I have this to say, that these people seem not to have been ready to run a government. I saw the kind of statements that were made in Migori, and it seems Ruto has kicked off the 2027 campaigns. And now, this reminds me of Moi. Moi was always on the move. So we are basically going to be treated to these kind of things every Sunday. Next Sunday he is likely to be somewhere in Meru or I don't know where, trying to campaign for himself. Yet work that is pending is just too much. In that address, I did not hear him talk about the high cost of living. He's talking about the future, about purported roads that will be constructed in the area and the technical colleges, and I don't know what. But the current problems that Kenyans are going through about education, about food, about hospitals is just too much. But you not hear him. I did not hear him touch on that at all. So his deputy goes to a TV station to continue complaining how the government does not have money, how who did this or did not do the other. Precisely where are we headed, honestly? If you go to what Kibaki did, I never heard that in one time Kibaki calling press conferences or going to the masses to complain how the Moi government had done or had not done. I think these people are coming to reality that running a government is not merely, entertaining people on top of vehicles. It's going to be much, much harder than they thought. Na mambo bando, the population is silent, yes. And I can tell you that already the mamas are growing louder, even in areas where they got votes. And because they had promised too much. And one of the promises was that the cost of living would be drastically reduced, which is not their subject matter right now. They say they are not going to give subsidies on food, on fuel. Prices are set to go up. We can only wait and see what the population will say about this. But it is something that is hurting, because apparently most of our people have a basic understanding of economics, and therefore what they were told is what they think should happen, that there should be reduction in food prices, there should be reduction in fuel prices, and generally the cost of living should go down. So those mama mboga and the border fellows, they are quiet. In fact, they are stunned. They are startled that the hustler seemingly has neglected them, because he's no longer talking about the hardships that they are going through. All what they are hearing is that the government is broke, which of course is contestable, because they can also see that the same leaders are saying that they cannot have their packs reduced. They want their mileages, their allowances maintained as they were, or even increased. So these contradictions are things that the youth can understand, and therefore we do not know how long the population will just keep quiet. Because right now, when you hit somebody, when you con somebody, the first thing is shock. That is what comes. The person keeps quiet, but is planning, or could be planning, on a fight back. I am in the next 1 or 2 months, if the current commodity prices continue as they were or as they are, I am not very sure that things will be as quiet as they seem right now. Asante sana, Temba.
Okay, Wangira.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Temba. How are you, everybody? It has been a while since I was here. Let me just make my very, very brief contributions, because you said I have 3 minutes. And I'll just start from where my brother Kuse left. Brother Kuse, how are you? On the issue of the prime cabinet secretary, that position of prime cabinet secretary. If you look at the Kenyan constitution clearly, it talks of around 22 ministries, which are specific ministries. And, the creation of an upper ministry in the name of a prime cabinet secretary without portfolio is, to me, a challenge. And it's a challenge, and I tend to agree with my brother Kuse that it's likely to cause issues. Because if you are saying that this guy is a prime cabinet secretary, what's prime cabinet secretary within the meaning of the definition of our constitution? And it's just that guys have gotten tired in this country and they are no longer questioning issues. And I'm very sure if it was 1 year ago, perhaps Okia Mutata could have been caught challenging the creation of this particular position. Because to some of us, we tend to think that this particular position could be unconstitutional. I want to go to the issue of the degree. I spend a lot of time trying to interpret the Kenyan constitution. And if you look at Article 99, because I listen to Kuse sometimes back, before I came onto the platform, where he was saying that, that the prescription for a degree is per the constitution. That's not true. The prescription of a degree for an elected leader is not prescribed anywhere in this constitution that I hold here. It's never prescribed. Because where we come closer to educational qualification is when you go to Article 99 of the Kenyan Constitution, that are the qualifications and disqualifications for elections as members of parliament, which are the same qualifications for members of the county assembly. And if you go down there, you'll discover that they say that unless disqualified under clause 2 of this particular article, which I don't want to go to, you can read it for yourself. So unless you are disqualified under clause 2, clause 2, a person is eligible for election as a member of parliament if a person is a registered voter. That's the first qualification for election. Then if you go to B, they say certifies any educational. The word is any educational. Then they talk of moral. Then they move to ethical requirements prescribed by, any educational is not what is prescribed by the constitution. But when you go to moral, ethical requirements, this is what is prescribed by the constitution, or which is prescribed by the constitution. So the issue of the educational requirement are merely issues that are supposed to be prescribed by a statute, which is an ordinary law in this country. And the ordinary law and that prescribed a degree for elected members of parliament and for elected MCAs was Section 22 of the Elections Act. And this particular section of the Elections Act was found to be unconstitutional for various reasons, including that there was no public participation. So, the court was wondering, how did you arrive at the requirement that an elected member of parliament should have a university degree if there was no public participation? Because the people of Kenya must participate and agree. Even when we are enacting a statute, they must participate and agree what they want to have in that statute. If there's no public participation, then that particular provision of any statute becomes null and void. And that's what the court ruled. And it is the same thing that it started with the MCS, then moved to members of parliament, and it has now moved to the governors, and it's going to move to the president, because even if you go on what the constitution prescribes as the qualification for a president, it does not talk of a governor. It does not talk of a degree. Sorry, it does not talk of a degree. It just talks of any educational qualification. Any educational qualification could be a diploma, could be a certificate, could be a Form 4 lever. And these things are supposed to be gradual. Because I've always asked myself, for example, the Constitution of the United States of America is a constitution that is 200 years old. And in the Americans of today are not the Americans of 200 years ago. And you discover that nobody has ever attempted to amend the Constitution of the United States of America to insert that for you to become president of the United States of America, you must hold a degree. In America, you only need to be a citizen by birth and to have resided within America for 10 years to qualify to run for office of the president. But here we are in an African country where we are telling people that here to become so and so, we need you to have a university degree. And if you move to Article 180, that article is very, very clear that the qualification to run for governor are the same qualification that are required for you to run as member of county assembly. So if the qualification for you to run as member of a county assembly do not require you to have a degree, then why should the same qualification when you are running for governor require you to have the degree? So many of you people here are trying to quarrel with the interpretation of the judge in the high court. But to me, in my own understanding and by my own interpretation, the judge was right, because the prescription of the degree is not a constitutional prescription, is nowhere prescribed here in this constitution that I'm holding. I want just to finish on the last thing. Things in this country are not looking very rosy for some of us who live here. Some of you who live abroad, you could perhaps be smiling. To some of us who live here, things are not very good, especially economically. And the direction that the leaders that we elected, especially the president and the deputy president, are taking, are directions that are likely not to take us to the right route. Look at the declaration that he made over the SGR, not knowing that we were paying alone on the SGR. And now I understand that, KRA doesn't know what to do now, because they don't want to be seen as annoying the president and the deputy president. So they are not going after those people who are bringing in contrabands and counterfeits. And imagine if KRA is now afraid to go about people who are bringing in contrabands and counterfeits. You'll ask yourself, what a country is this? Then you'll also realize that, every time the deputy president is making funny utterances. For example, yesterday he said that, the charges against Mithika Linturi and Aisha Jumwa were politically motivated, and on a matter that is before court. When you are a leader of such at such a level as the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, you don't go on commenting on matters before court, because matters pertaining to Aisha Juma and matters pertaining to Mithika Linturi are matters before a magistrate. So if a magistrate yesterday was watching, if this particular magistrate was watching the deputy president saying that, these particular charges were politically motivated, then how do you want him to operate in court when already there's an aspersion casted by the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya on this particular charges? So we are not doing very, very well in regard to many, many things in this country. The cost of living has gone very high, or people cannot not afford to take their kids to school. People cannot afford to have 2 meals a day, or things are just difficult. And if we don't get the right, if we are not going to get things done in the right direction, then perhaps in a short while we'll lose it. And the person who will make us even lose it further is this guy we have in this country in the name of the deputy president. He's still in that excitement. He's still in that campaign mood. Every time blaming the DCI, blaming other arms of the government. If you're in government, you protect government. For example, if I was outside government today and I'm elected into government, my first role should be to protect government, because that's where I am. And he's still just operating as any other activist that is on the campaign trail. And every time you see, especially on the DCI, he has been so hard on the DCI. So, at the end of the day, perhaps public servants will start fearing. For example, if you're an officer in the DCI and you're listening to what the deputy president is talking about, you start fearing. You not work in a manner that you're likely to work in. So, let us give them time, like most of you have said, perhaps 6 months, and see the way things will turn out. But as per now, things are not rosy. Let me just leave at that and allow somebody else to come in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. As I said that we had very few minutes remaining. We had here to at least start 2 hours. We've done 3 hours. Thank you so much for those who have come in. And we want to finalize our discourse there. Though we don't finalize here, we just come, open it up, and hopefully crack it a little bit and we can pick it up again tomorrow or another day. But thank you so much for your contributions. Thank you for your well articulated insights that you have given us, Guru, Wangira, Mise, and Christine, and all those who came in and left. It's always a pleasure to have us here to just exchange ideas and appreciate what we share and how we view our country, Kenya. And indeed, you have listened. The world has listened, and you have picked what you think is good for you. And also, you can share with us what you think. For those who come to the comment section, we always appreciate your participation. It is you that also keeps us going. We would love to please, but we have to leave because it is that time. Asanteni sana. Tuonane tena. Tafadhali kama uja subscribe kwa Mutembei TV, jaribu you subscribe. And we are hoping that we'll be meeting as often as we can here. If we can't, we'll always be opening it up for just a few hours and then we continue. But it is still on. It is still on. Even when you don't see us here, we know that you have a lot to talk about and we always want to come back here again. Subscribe to Mutembei TV and go there, bring people. There's so much is happening in Kenya. There's so much information that you need to know. Keep yourself abreast. And I think we leave it at that. Yeah. Let me just mention a few people in the comment section. Eli Shivs, asante sana. John Linda, asante. Black, Brian, Richard, Geoffrey Ruto, Danny Darius, Father Mwenyewe, Cool Rob, Bonnie Mhesh. Thank you so much for coming on. Danny Darius, kwa maombi, tafadhali ombea nchi yetu ya Kenya, naombea wale wengine wote. Brian Richard, asante sana kwa kupiga blue. Naona watu wa Azimio blue bado mko hapo. Watu wa Kenya kwanza yellow, asanteni sana pia nyinyi. Mise yuko hapa anawakilisha kama kawaida, kama kazi, na Black pia yuko huko chini anawakilisha. Trufena Olaka, Azimio blue, asante sana. Lee Kichui, mambo vipi Themba? Niko fresh, niko bomba, niko fresh barida. Irina Imba, asante sana. Hata mvua imehama Nairobi. Irina Imba, asante sana. Salams kutoka huku juu kwenye studio, tunawapigia, tunawatumia, nyote zinakuja kwa mpigo. Alfred Ontirisi, asante. Judy Abonyo, asante. Salamu kwa wote, tumeshukuru. Hata yule ambaye anaitwa Eugene AO Adams, asante sana. Tunawashukuru sana nyote. Indeed, it's always nice to have all of you here. And as Tishia Mungu amechoka na hypocrisy. Michael Ngige, salamu nyingi sana. Tuonane. Daniel Obudho, Daniel, we love and pray for Kenya all the time. Kenya ni yetu. Yes, Kenya ni yetu. Let's keep praying. Jarongo 1212. Asante sana. Thanks. Asanteni, wacha tuonane tena. Ajaliwa. Alamsiki. God, see you. Tuonane.
Emba uliwacha Christine akahepa hivyo na I had a right of reply.
See you Angira. See you tomorrow. Yeah, God bless you. Right of reply to what? What did you want to tell Christine?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell Christine and Julia, because Christine alisema she's hurting. I just wanted to say I'm sorry that she's hurting. She also said that we shouldn't criticize or say certain things against the people. But I wanted to say our job here is to defend the government. I also wanted to tell her that we are not going to relent because she is hurting. We want her to heal, and healing is accepting. But also, I wanted to correct something you said. I actually appreciate that people criticize the government. It is the job of the government. but for people to criticize them, and everyone is welcome. But we cannot come and dwell on criticism that haijengi, and then ni kama unakuja unanitukana kila siku, unaniambia we mjinga, then you show up on my door unasema nasikia njaa. So nobody will listen to you. They think you are a perennial complainer, and they tend to take not to take you serious. And lastly, I really appreciate Wangira for coming in and giving a very good thing in terms of education. If you look at the way the wording of the Constitution, the qualification is worded, it is actually left at the discretion of IBC to give that measure. And if you see Article 193, Article 99, and Article 190 of the Constitution, you will realize that Article 190, basically they're saying nothing. For me, it's not about this qualification. For me, is look at someone serves 10 years as a governor, then it jumps ship because is barred constitutionally. He was corrupt when he was a governor. He lacks the basic tenets of being a government officer or someone who is a custodian of our resources. Then he jumps to become either senator or a member of parliament. I think for me, that is more urgent and important for us to address, to bar these people. If by any chance we should give them a break of maybe 10 years before they resume. I think that to me is more important than these complaints of a degree. People in other countries, they think about apprenticeship. You don't need to have a degree to qualify. You can learn on the job and then get the degree later when you've learned on the job. Thank you.
Unasema unajicontradict, unasema mimi kazi yangu ni kudefend government na sisi kazi yetu ni kugonga government. So kiasi kutuambia timu sigonge, don't criticize, don't dwell on criticism. You defend the government, that's okay. As will criticize it. So wacha kusema moja na unaona, yani mkuki kwa nguruwe, kwa binadamu ni chungu. Wewe defend your government, sisi tunai criticize. And you don't tell us how we are going to criticize. That you don't mention this, don't. We will criticize it the best way we know how. We will defend it.
Same here, we will defend it the best way we know how.
Yeah, asisi tunai criticize, tunaigonga kabisa ile wanafaa kutupatia. Makia tulikuwa tunamaliza. I don't know if you want to say something.
Me sina story mingi in them, but I think what we are trying to do is just to have some consistency in the way we broadcast. Last week, I know people were a bit disappointed, but I think we will try every effort to make sure that you have at least your show. Hata kama haitakuwa ni kwa masaa mengi, lakini ile nafasi utapata at least kuja hapa dakika 2-3 uongee, then we will try to make that available for you. So just to insist that you subscribe, so that just subscribe and hit the notification button, so that tukienda show ikianza ikiwa live utajua kwamba kuna mtu ambaye ameanzisha show, then you can come in mapema uweze kutoa comments zako. I think that's all I have.
Thank you Makiadi. We'll try to bring it every day, at least hata kama ni 3 hours. Hiyo mambo ya 8 nini ndio saa zingine, but at least consistency. Every day we'll bring you a show. Then we'll be introducing other shows starting the month of November. So tutakuwa tunaletea, there's some other, at least we create variety. So keep it locked. We'll be introducing other discourse around this place, so that at least we diversify. Tuache kushinda misi ametugonga hapa na tumemgonga. So we'll be diversifying our discourse to embrace even other areas of the discourse. So thank you so much. I think we have nothing more to add. See you again, hopefully tomorrow. Hata kama tusipanza mapema, but at least we'll give you some 2 hours, 3 hours for you to air your views. God bless you. Kwaherini.
Makiadi usiende, Makiadi ubaki dakika moja.